Are you ready to begin our very first adventure?
Yay!
The hype is real! Time for caffeine. Give me that Zip Fizz. Sponsorships available. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with the beginning. And with that, I would like to take you to the creation moment. Our story begins. In the beginning, El Shaddai created the cosmos and the realms of Terith, and he saw that it was good. He spoke, and light was born. He breathed and formed the three radiant paragons, Melator, the warrior, Guntius, the messenger, and Luxian, the luminary. Three beings of pure righteousness who took the form of mighty dragons and were charged to guide his righteous creations to glory. But there was a war in the cosmos. Luxian, in his pride, attempted a coup. The war raged, and El Shaddai, in his final sorrow, cast Luxian and his corrupted legions out of glory and into the darkness the usurper craved. Ages passed, and you were born, and your story will change the world. Our legend together begins as you are asleep. In your vivid dreams, you see the face of a dear friend. A beautiful elf priestess reaches down into the rubble of war to lift a weeping orphan into her arms. She begins to heal the little girl's dire wounds. She smiles as she wipes the tears from the child's eyes. Suddenly, cold terror grips you as a mountainous, dark hand overshadows the elf. Her face contorts in fear. Just as she shrieks your name for help, you wake up in a cold sweat. Not long after, you receive a mysterious arcane missive with a familiar seal. Your presence is urgently requested, and you begin your travels post-haste to the arcane floating city of Sanubis.
Yay!
And so begins Heroes of Providence Eternal, our Genesis campaign, Chapter 1, Shifting Sands. Through your various means of travel, whether they be by land or by sea or by air, you do indeed make your way to the arcane city of Sanubis, a glorious radiant bastion of light, dedicated to the merging of the heart and the mind for its people, welcoming new thoughts, opening debate, and desiring to seek the God of truth in all things. As you approach the city, you see that it's bustling and vibrant, full of healthy energy and a fervor to help their fellow man. As you walk down the streets, you are moving your way towards the place of calling in the secret missive that you received just a brief time earlier. You approach the Wise Owl Inn, one of the favorite spots of the floating magical city of Sanubis. And the Wise Owl Inn is frequented by some of the most boisterous and excitable people of the city. And we will now begin our very first roll to see who enters this glorious and bustling pub first. If you'd be so kind, if you were playing this on paper, you just roll a dice. Being that we're playing this on the computer Roll20, we're going to go ahead and have everyone roll a standard dice 6 for a six-sided dice. Armando, you get to enter the building first, and you get to do whatever you'd like. How do you begin your story?
Okay, I will bust through the doors, and I will... Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing?
And steins are raised as they see the mighty warrior, the mighty titan, 7 feet tall, give or take, entering the room. And Armando, feel free to move your character as you wish or on the game board.
Okay, I am going to go up to the bar to good old Gork.
All righty. Fantastic.
Hey, Gork, how you doing?
Armando, I haven't seen you in way too long.
Oh, it's been too long. Yes. You know my typical goods, right?
Oh, I've got the very best for you. And
Bring it on.
He reaches out with a mighty hug and lifts you up and shakes you around and drops you back down. Gork Crushlaugh, the mighty orc who is the bartender of this fine establishment, begins clinking glasses with you, and you start sharing war stories. And you continue rousing with great energy as Kaz enters next.
I would probably
hold back and enter with V.
All right. So Kaz, being the youthful-looking elf of 13, 14, 15, fairly youthful in appearance. We know elves' ages can be different than their appearance. You decide to hang back a bit. The lovely Miss Issa has an opportunity to enter as she wishes.
I'm very curious. I have a very curious nature. And as I come in, I'm going to actually make my way over to this very stern looking owl gentleman. And I didn't quite catch his name, but something about him just makes me have a connection. I know I've seen war myself, and he looks like he's battle weary and worn, and I kind of just want to see what he's all about.
So as you approach this 7-foot-tall Lux, they're gigantic, elegant, beautiful avian race. They're about 80% human, 20% snow owl in appearance. They are generally associated with the priest order and the priest class, and much of the weaponry is light-based in its energy source and in its function. So as you approach this very tall and mighty-looking titan of a bird, he stares at you through intense eyes, very suspiciously, and he kind of grunts. Are you Issa?
I am. I don't know if I've ever met you before, but something about you seems so familiar, and I'm not sure. Have you ever been to the Whispering Plains? It's a place that I grew up. The Hemanawam people are there. They're shapeshifters. That's usually how people know of them. Have you ever been there? Because you seem familiar to me.
I have indeed traveled much of the world, but I don't believe I've had the privilege of meeting you. I have heard word of your ability and your skills, and that is why you have been summoned here today. There are more that are coming, and if you'd be so kind as to make yourself comfortable, your gracious greeting of them would do us much good. And his stern face gazes across the crowd, looking for any threats in the room.
I'd be happy to do just that.
And his face is still very, very focused and very stern, but he gives you kind of a curt bow. And he goes back to surveying the room with a very deep intensity. And next up, we have our rogue Leo. You have the opportunity to do what you wish. How do you enter?
I'll kind of come in just this door over here and slip in. I'm not going to do anything fancy, just kind of walk in. And I'm going to come around to one of my common spots.
Okay. As you pass by, Muscle Mike, he's kind of the bar bouncer, and he kind of eyes you warily as you slink by under your concealed cowl and robe, and he says, "You gonna cause any trouble here, rogue?"
Oh, of course not. You've seen me before, Mike. Remember?
Well, last time you were here, you left with more than you came with, if I recall.
I don't know if there's any evidence of that, Mike. Let's not throw around accusations, you know.
Well, I guess an indictment's not a conviction. Make yourself comfortable, but I got my eye on you.
Of course, Mike.
And he kind of smacks his shield with his mighty weapon and says, V, you have the opportunity to enter the room as you wish.
We're coming in.
Right.
Kind of quiet, nothing fancy.
Okay.
It's going to be, we want to get a feel for the room as we come in here. So we're just going to take a seat over here, kind of get a look around just to see what's going on.
All right. So as you enter the room, you pass by Sweet Tunes Tuck. And Sweet Tunes Tuck is a boisterous dwarf covered with glowing rune tattoos all over his body. And he says to you, "Oh, welcome. Care for a tune?"
Yeah. Play the old-timey one, the one that everybody remembers.
Oh, that's my favorite. And he takes off his shoes and he starts banging his feet on the keys of the keyboard. And it's the most ruckus and ribald and perfect song you've ever heard. And he's kind of got his arms like this as he's dancing with his feet and playing the piano with his toes. And he starts going, oh, and the entire bar ignites with, oh, and the glasses are swinging and the beers are flinging. And it's a boisterous tune that the entire bar is responding very happily to.
After he's finished, I go, "Wow, can I try?"
Oh, come on up, laddie. Everyone should learn themselves a tune.
And I immediately don't know how to play, so it is the worst sound. I try to imitate him by putting my feet up there, and it's just clink, 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 clink. It's very bad. Everyone like looks over. They're like, what is going on? He immediately realizes I cannot play at all.
And he says, by El Shaddai, you must be one of them experimental musicians, ain't ya?
Nope. I don't know how to play at all.
Oh, don't you worry, laddie. It took me 10 years to learn the big toe technique. Start with your fingers. And he shows you how to play hot cross buns using just your fingers.
So we awkwardly stop all the tavern music to play hot cross buns.
But I will say, as you're doing
Tap
that,
it away.
Arcanist Astron, he's a gentleman that's sitting here. He looks like an Arcanist, kind of an elderly man with a long beard. He kind of approaches you, and with a gentle smile on his face, he says, "Oh, don't you worry, little lad. I have never been too good at music myself. That's why I just learned how to blow things up."
Everyone can blow stuff up, but I've never seen anyone play a box of wood like this before.
Oh, but have you ever learned how to blow up a party? And out of his robe, he lifts this bright light, and an explosion of confetti fills the entire room, and a disco ball comes down. And suddenly your music sounds so much better to everyone. You think he may be using some kind of arcane digital remixing or something of your song, and somehow your song is starting to sound a whole lot better. And everyone has lifted their glasses again, and they're delighted by your song, though it might be slightly digitally enhanced.
Dubstep hot cross buns.
Oh yeah, it's the Skrillex remix of Hot Cross Buns, and it's really hitting the vibe. People are getting into it.
I just imagine V's like in the corner.
I am. I'm not that.
He like wanders off.
I want to cause a scene. Now we're causing a scene.
All right. In the midst of all the ruckus and in the midst of all the excitement, the music is playing, the disco ball's doing its thing, people are vibing. Sacris up on the top right, he's kind of rolling his eyes, a little bit impatient and frustrated at how chaotic it is now. And he's kind of grumbling in the corner. But thankfully, all things change. And suddenly, a very wise and elderly looking Lux approaches the front door. And as the swinging doors open, you can just feel the emanation of joy and a peace and a light and a warmth that you've never felt before. It's a very unique feeling in this particular way. And in that exact moment, everyone in the entire bar seems to turn towards the door and they say, "Father Geno!"
Ah!
And in this moment, he opens his wings wide, the 7 foot tall, just mighty Santa Claus looking dude. He walks in and he says, "Greetings and blessings to you all." And with a warm smile, each of the patrons, Muscle Mike, kind of walks up and smiles and gives him a big hug. And Father Geno, as he's walking his way through, he's all joy. There are a few people that kind of stumble towards him, a little drunk, and he just kind of touches them. And suddenly they're walking just a little bit straighter and cleaner, and they give him a big old hug. And he makes his way through, and he comes up to Kaz, and he gazes down at Kaz and says, "Well, hello, young one. There seems to be much more to you than meets the eye." And he kind of smiles warmly as he rests his soft hand on your shoulder. And he says, "How are you doing today?"
I'm doing good. How are you? You look very old.
"Well, truer things are rarely spoken." And he gives a big guffaw laugh of, and he kind of tousles your hair a little bit and gives you a little wink with a twinkle in his eye and continues walking past over to Arcanist Astron here. And he says, "Oh boy, did you do this disco ball thing again?" And the Arcanist is like, "Well, we gotta find some way to keep the kids engaged these days." And Father Geno goes, "Oh, isn't that the truth?" And he smiles and they both bow towards each other as he makes his way over to the corner here. And he glances over at V and he says to you, "It's rare to see one of your kind this high up in the clouds. I trust that you're the one that was called."
Yes, I believe so.
"We do have urgent things to talk about. If you'd be so kind as to join me over near my friend in the corner."
Okay.
And he makes his way over past Gem Sully, who's hurriedly trying to take care of all the patrons' needs of food and drink. He smiles warmly at her and she curtsies back as Father Geno walks by. And he kind of levitates up and around the chair here and sits down as Sacris bows very deeply before Father Geno. And Sacris kind of blends back into the shadows here, allowing for obviously someone that he respects to have a seat at the table. And in a moment, all of you from all across the bar, whatever you're engaged in, you have kind of a thought in your mind that's very warm and very welcoming, just gently calling you and inviting you graciously to where you think this rather aged but welcoming Lux of an owl is sitting over in the corner. So feel free
I'm
to
going to get a
move.
whole lot closer.
That's right. So as you all approach, it's just kind of a kindly magnetic warmth. He sees Armand approach and he says, "Oh, lad," and you're almost the same height. Both of you are remarkably tall dudes. A little more frail. He's got a little bit of a tummy to him at his age, but he looks at you and he says, "Oh, I can tell that you've been through much, my son, but you continue to press on."
Yes, yes, Father Geno. And can I buy you a drink?
I would be delighted.
Ah!
As a friend of the mug, he lifts up a mug to you and he offers a clink. To health, happiness, and joy for all time.
Aww.
And he guzzles it down and kind of rustles his feathers with a joyous delight.
I'm gonna be guzzling it, and I'm gonna be looking at him kind of with my eye and try to guzzle it faster.
And he guzzles faster.
Oh!
He goes, "Oh, it seems I've lost some things with age, my boy, but you still have it."
I've got it.
And he clinks mighty chalices with you, and he plops down in his chair, and he's all a twitter with joy.
Seeing how much fun that looked, I will wait till V tries to take a drink and then try to drink faster than him.
All right. So you're kind of looking up at V, kind of trying to impress him a bit, maybe. V, what do you do as you're looking at Kaz there?
I can tell that he wants to drink.
And what do you say?
He's already caused one scene, and I'm like, you need to take a seat. Wait.
Okay.
Let's see what's going on.
All right. But didn't that look fun?
It's fun.
Please,
just
can't
wait.
we? No. We already still have confetti. All right. And Father Geno kind of notices the interaction there, and he smiles warmly as kind of the father figure V provides a bit of wisdom to the youthful cause. And Leo approaches.
Yeah, Leo gives that an approving look as well as he looks at V. But he'll kind of be off in the distance a little bit, and he'll approach a little more. Father Geno, it's good to see you. Have you called us here?
It is a delight to see you. I have heard much about you, and you certainly have been through much, my child. And he bows to you in a gracious way. With his wide white wing, he offers you the comfortable seat at the very head of the table, if you'd like to sit there.
I will accept, yes.
While this is going on, I lean over to the lady next to me and go, "Hi, I'm Kaz."
Hi, Kaz. I'm Isa.
Isa, this is V. He points next to him.
Hey, I'm sorry. Excitable one.
It's okay, V. I have a sense that he's a young, curious one.
He's learning.
That's wonderful. It's good that he has such a solid, wise guide with him and to protect him and keep him safe.
And tasting. The floor here is weird.
That's right.
Are you
It hasn't hurt him
the
yet,
floor,
so-
you said? Is that?
Oh yeah, with my feet.
And Father Geno looks over at Armand and says,
Is that why you don't wear shoes?
"I think some of that on the ground may be from our chalices."
I don't wear shoes at all.
All right, and Father Geno laughing and guffawing at the excitement. Leo, you noticed from the corner of your eye that Sacris in the corner there was clutching what appeared to be a pair of weapons underneath his cape. But as you seem to not be an immediate threat, he loosened his grip on his weapons.
Okay.
And he's eyeing you very suspiciously. Who would have thought that the rogue would be someone that he would want to keep his eye on? So Father Geno kind of calls everyone to order, and his kind of affect changes a bit as you can see that he was genuinely happy when he entered, but it seems the burden of why he's here is finally settling in on his brow, and his eyes sadden a bit as he asks all of you to kind of lean in a bit closer for what he's about to say. Sacris moves his wing in a way that you feel kind of an aura protecting you. It's almost like a silencing aura. You get the impression that what is about to be said, Father Geno and his bodyguard Sacris don't want everyone to hear this. So there's something secretive about what you're about to hear. So Father Geno graciously asks you to lean in a bit, and he whispers this to you just under his breath, and he says, "I have called you all here due to very dark tidings. It seems that my most beloved pupil, Sister Ari, seems to have been abducted." His face falls, and Sacris behind him tenses up with a righteous anger. And Father Geno continues, he says, "It pains me to express this, but due to the delicate nature of the operation that she was engaged in, I could not use the military might of the city to engage in what needs to be done. She spoke very highly of you, V, and Leo, and Armand, and Issa, though I don't believe that she's met you yet, Kaz. But those of you that she spoke very highly of and had experience with, I have a deep and abiding faith that you are the right ones to help me in my time of need."
I can help too.
And he looks over at you and he says, "From what I can see in you, you will do more than help, young one.
Till I take my last breath, I shall find Sister Ari, and I shall return her to you." And I'll kind of hit my chest, and you'll see my long ribbon. You'll see kind of words start appearing on it as I said that oath.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes, I would like to follow that. If you're looking for an agreement here from us to help, why even ask? Let's get to the details.
I'm overjoyed to hear your passion in helping me in our time of need." And he leans in a bit closer, as he does not desire for these details to go beyond the protective aura of silence that Sacris was kind enough to make available. And he leans in and says, "Sister Ari is known to have a bit of a brave and rambunctious nature, as you know from your experiences with her. And she would be the first to dive directly into a war zone, simply to help those that are in need. She was called by inspiration to go to the far-off desert lands. And it seems that while she was there tending to the needs of the orphans and the widows that were the tragic result of the wars raging with the centaurs to the north, we lost contact with her, and we fear for the worst."
Do you know what part of the desert she went to?
"We do indeed know. She was approaching Tulumashaw port and disappeared shortly after she began to travel north to the Centaur lands."
Centaurs kidnap her?
"We do not know who's responsible for the abduction, but we do know that she was just north of Tulumashaw when last we heard, and we do indeed have a contact, a local friend of ours, that has agreed to provide as much help and information as he can if you were able to make it to him post-haste."
So back home it is then for me.
"Indeed, indeed."
Desert, you say. Will there be drink there?
Well, and he laughs with a guffaw and smacks you on the back of your plate armor and says, "Oh, only the finest."
Shall we go?
I don't really like getting the sand in my fur, but for Sister Ari, of course.
"Oh, I believe some of those oases may be able to help you in your times of bathing need, my son."
I hope so. It's just awful to, sometimes when you, never mind, I won't get into the details.
And he rustles his feathers and says, "Oh, tell me about it."
I don't know anymore.
All right. And with that, Sacris approaches him and whispers in Father Geno's ear, and Father Geno's eyes brighten and say, "Oh, it seems that desperate business is calling me back to the council. If you're willing to make your way to the port of Sanubis, you'll meet an old friend of mine that should be able to attend to your travel needs for this journey."
But don't you want to come?
"I very much would like to come, but it seems that there are dark affairs here in the city that do require my attention." And he looks up at the towering Sacris, muscle and raw strength, and he says, "I will give you the greatest gift that I have at this moment, and that is the direct attendance of my second in command and most trusted guardian, Sacris himself." He salutes with a firm, crushing hand on his mighty armored chest, and he bows humbly and says, "If my life or my death may serve, I will provide." Father Geno says, "I thank you so much for your dedication, and at this moment I bid you my blessing." And he opens his wings widely. The aura of silence breaks, and you can now kind of hear the chatter and the roar of the excitement of the Wise Owl Cantina again. And you feel a level of richness in your soul and rejuvenation that you have not felt in a very long time, and you feel energized to begin your journey.
Wonderful. I'm going to walk over and see if Gork would be willing to entertain me with a few drinks for the road. Not something alcoholic, maybe.
Feel free to move yourself there.
Something that could help a lady in a time of need.
And with that, Father Geno smiles at you all and he says, I bless you deeply, and I wish you the very best." And he bows humbly, and his long white robes flow as he begins to make his way out.
As he begins to leave, I'm going to kind of trail behind him after he gets a little bit of distance.
I was trying to steal his
and then
stuff.
kind of try to catch his try to catch his
Watch out,
attention.
Kaz.
All right, so Father Geno makes his way to the door as he smiles broadly
I do
and muscle Mike.
So I just try to catch his attention.
Very good. So Father Geno feels the presence of someone behind him, and just as he makes his way outside, he stops and he slowly turns around and smiles at you, and he says, "Hello, young one. Do you have a need?"
Father, I just wanted to catch you one quick thing. Do you really trust the rest of this lot?
He breathes deeply. I have searched what I can of their being, and I am confident that those that Sister Ari recommended would be the absolute best to trust for this journey.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Just wanted to double check, of course.
He smiles at you, leans closer and says, "I wish to give you a gift, young one." Out of his long robes, he pulls out a very simple wooden triangle on a loop of very crude string, and he says, "This is a symbol of our order, an order of peace and hope and justice. And though you may not need to display this publicly, I do feel that in your heart, you indeed are one of us." And he offers you this very simple token as he welcomes you and bids you the blessing of his people.
I'll accept the trinket and walk back inside.
I'm gonna walk over the cause, and I'm going to kind of slide a beer over to him and kind of raise my eyebrow at him, just kind of challenging him.
And for those that are watching, elves could be several hundreds of years old, though this particular one may feel a bit youthful.
I'll grab the mug and wait for him to start.
Cause remember what I showed you.
I do a horrible job of drinking it. I get most of it on me. No,
I'll slap him.
You have to breathe. Breathe.
I'll slap him on the back and say, "Next time, good old boy."
It doesn't even taste good.
Keep drinking, it'll get better.
And Sacris walks up and he says, "Don't worry, young one. I prefer water myself."
Me too.
and he offers you a shot glass of the purest, most beautiful sparkling water you've ever had in your life.
I guess I take it.
He clinks glasses with you and he downs it in like half a sneeze, and you work on it a little while.
I go, Sacris, can you fly?
Oh, have you ever spent time with the Lux people, my boy?
No, that's why I'm asking.
and in a moment he looks around, and his mighty 8-foot wingspan spreads out, and he levitates a bit above the ground with one simple kind of graceful stroke of his wings as a burst of light erupts, and then he slowly glides his way back down and winks and says,
That answers my second question. I was going to say, can you fly with armor on?
"Oh, we have a special kind of training for that."
V says a lot of people have trouble because they skip leg day, so I guess you can't skip wing day.
And he's kind of stern, but he says, "You got me there, young one."
Those little legs.
And Sacris kind of glances at the glowing runes on the wall, reading the time, and he says, "It seems that our contact down at the port of Sunubis is expecting us within the hour."
Gork, where's my drinks?
Oh, and Gork looks over and he says, "Issa, is that you?"
Yes, where have you been? I haven't seen you in forever.
"Oh, you need to come through the floating city more often, dearie." And he offers you the biggest warm hug an orc has ever offered anyone. "Would you like a little something for the road, sweetie?"
Especially with these, they've never been in the deep Hoti Desert before, and I'm kind of worried. I just want us to be sure that we're prepared, but nothing too heavy. If you have something small that we can take that would be light, that would be great. Maybe a little living water.
Master Chef Gordith, the proprietor of the establishment, turns around and kind of looks through the window there as he's preparing these fancy dishes, looks at him and looks at you and smiles a bit and goes, and he nods and backs up into the kitchen. And Gork says, "Don't worry, lassie. This one's on the house." And he loads you up with a generous supply of enough beverages for a comfortable bit of rejuvenation. And he loads them into a very lightweight satchel and hands them to you.
Good. Thank you so much. You are very, very kind and ever so gracious.
"Oh, come back and see us again sometime."
Only if you're good.
"Oh, I rarely am."
I know, that's what your wife says all the time. What's going on, V?
I'm looking for some dried meats. What you got?
You kind of bang on the door there, and Master Chef Gordith approaches the pickup window there. A very lithe elf that seems to be incredibly good in the kitchen. And he says, Well, hello. I have not seen one of your kind this far up in the city for a very long time. What can I do for you?
Looking to see what exotic meats you might have.
Oh,
Cooked, preferably.
I'll have you know, Deadeye Frank brought in a brand new fresh batch that I think you'll enjoy. And he goes over here to the table and pulls back meat that seems to be glowing a kind of effervescent red. Like the meat itself looks very ripe, very fresh, but it's like a sparkling red all the way around. You think it may have been hunted in the northeastern Elven lands. It's a very special kind of meat that is very rich in protein and nutrients.
Yes.
I'm gonna go over to V and nudge him and say, "Ask about the sea asp."
The sea asp?
Mm-hmm.
What about the sea asp? What can you tell me about that?
I was saving that for a special occasion, and it would be like the elf to share all the secrets that I have here in the kitchen. And he kind of backs up into the kitchen, and he brings back out this kind of floating cube, and it's white and kind of radiant, and it seems to have like a meat kind of moving as if it's levitating inside of it, preserving it in a very special way. And he says, this will cost you a bit more than the stuff that I just provided.
Let's do it. Let's take
all right,
it.
and it says it'll be 20 gold pieces for that.
For all of it?
And he looks around and says, I could make it 19, but the wife would kill me.
What was our starting gold?
You all have 100 gold pieces to start.
How about if you get it, V, I'll spring for 5 gold pieces. I'll give you 5 of mine.
V, you have 50 of my gold, and that's all I have left.
Yeah, he's a hungry child.
Kids,
I was probably robbed of it early and cheated. Probably.
Yeah.
Not the best with money.
All right.
So the master,
I'll take it.
Master Chef Gordith, with a flur of his fingers, kind of light erupts out of his fingers, and it perfectly packages it and somehow compresses it very tightly to take up a little less space in your carrying. He ziplocks it for you arcanely, and he kind of levitates it over to you and says, "Don't tell anyone you got this deal from me, or the wife will kill me."
I'll be back.
I'll kind of wander up after that interaction ends, and that all looks very interesting. You two doing some grocery shopping?
And Master
truck in front of us.
Of course, yes. You get enough for everyone.
The pause is long.
You have gold in your pockets, the rogue. I'm sure you could.
No, I can take care of myself. I was just wondering.
All right, and Kaz approaches. Sacris in the corner there taps his light-based weapons and sucks them back into his bucklers on his fist. He whispers, "I best be moving towards the direction of the docks. I'll see you there shortly." And his mighty armored self clinks his way all the way around here, and he makes his way towards the door. He eyes Muscle Mike very suspiciously, and Muscle Mike kind of backs up slowly, knowing that you don't mess with Sacris at this point. And Sacris exits out and makes his way all the way outside, out of the building.
I am going to be following him because I'm just amazed by his armor.
It's some pretty gorgeous stuff. This is light-based forged armor, and it is very pricey, and this guy's been through some stuff, so he needs the best.
I'll grab some light supplies and start heading to the docks. As they leave, I'll probably try to follow them.
While you're grabbing supplies, I'll be like, "Hey, if you need money, I can give you some."
And at that moment, Madame Scowl was turning around and she says, "Oh, I do declare, normally I don't really like your kind, but if you're offering free money, I might be interested."
No, don't do it.
And she
come on, let's go outside. Let's head outside.
She holds out her purse.
He drags me outside.
Let's go.
I'm like,
outside.
But they need money.
No.
I'm going to stop right next to Madame Scowl and give her a bit of a scowl of my own. Good madam, how dare you take advantage of someone who is very innocent of mind and heart?
And Madame Scowl responds, "Oh, you elves are all the same."
It's a good thing we don't say that about your people.
Oh, and Lady Pomp, who's sitting there with Madame Scowl, Lady Pomp goes, "Oh!" and Madame Scowl looks very dejected and embarrassed that her.
Did you hear that, V? We just missed a good burn.
And Gork, don't worry. Yeah, Gork Crush Laugh, the bartender goes, "Oh!"
Man, I bet it was real good.
That's the point that I make prompting.
Madame Scowl buries her hands in embarrassment in her face, and she just returns to her grog that she was eating. And Lady Pomp just kind of laughs at her and goes, "Oh, dearie, don't mess with the elves." And she continues to eat away. as you all exit the Wise Owl, and the din and the excitement returns as Sweet Tunes Tuck plays a rousing tune, and you all exit the Wise Owl. So shortly after your meeting, in the illustrious and boisterous location of the Wise Owl Inn, our adventurers continue their journey down to the port of Sanubis. Of course, Sanubis is a floating city, so they find their way to teleport down or griffin down a half mile or so that the city is floating in the clouds. And they make their way down to the bustling port of Sanubis. And the port of Sanubis is a thriving location of trade and commerce, ships constantly moving in and out, goods and services being traded. A fairly safe place, fairly well run. There's a kind of a little bit of a seedy underbelly, but business that goes on there is basically well respected, and there's decent law and order in town. So as you're making your way through the port of Sanubis, you make your way to the docks, the location that you were requested to go to by Father Geno. And as you approach the docks, you see a majestic, mighty ship, the Tempest Chaser. And as you approach the Tempest Chaser, a brash and well-bearded captain approaches you and he says, "Oi, adventurers! I be Captain Tumult Viral. Are you the raggedy bands that the Padre sent us?"
I don't know.
Feel free to move yourself around as you see fit. And Captain Tumult Viral sees the beautiful elf maiden approach and he says, "Oh my, well, welcome aboard, lassie. We haven't seen one of your specific kind in mighty long time at this port."
And you'll never see one like me again.
"Oh, I think that might just be the case. Come aboard."
Thank you, kind sir.
Mhm.
Hello, Captain.
"Oh, you're a tall one." He looks up at you. Captain Tumult is about 5'10"ish. He's fairly standard human size.
My height.
Yeah, and he looks up at your towering self as your mighty armor clanks up the gangway, and he says, "Oh, I don't know if we have a cabin that'll fit a weapon that large."
Oh.
He looks at the bizarrely huge pole arm with a gigantic blade at the end, and he actually kind of ducks as your weapon swings over his head.
That's what she said moment, but I have nothing back.
That's all I could think of.
Everyone was thinking it. It's fine.
I just, you just put it out there, so that's all I'm saying.
And first mate Fallon, who's lifting some ale in a barrel in the corner, goes, "Hey, that's what she said." and Captain Tumult throws something at him.
I'm gonna go towards first mate there. So,
don't comment on his eye, please.
But he only has one. How does he see?
We'll explain it later.
Comment on his eye.
Let's go.
Leo.
"Oh my, are you one of those northeastern elves?" Don't. I see you're good at saying your vowels. That's good for a lad your age.
I just whisper again. I whisper again to him.
All right, so we're gonna.
Nice to meet you. I'm Kaz. I have two eyes.
"Oh, you're one of those lads. Don't you worry." And he lifts up his patch, and it's just this weird gouge that's stuff has happened there. And he says, "You want to know how I lost my eye?"
Yeah, I reach up to touch it.
Okay, he lets you touch it. It's mostly kind of peeled over, but it feels weird. It's kind of cool. And he says, "Well, let me tell you, laddie." You look down at his peg leg, and he says, "Oh, of course, I got me peg leg when I was out fighting the pirates of the north, and one of their mighty blades slashed me leg, and that's how I got me peg leg." And then you probably stare at his hook. He's got it there, and he says, "Well, I got me hook when I was a fisherman of the South Seas. There was this mighty shark that jumped up, and it bit me hand off, and that's how I got me hook." "Oh, you probably want to know how I got me eye patch too. Well, a bird crapped in me eye."
What?
And then, and then he says, "Oh, well, of course, it was the first day I had me hook."
Oh no! I will lean over to V and go, "I don't think he's very lucky."
I
told you not to ask.
I said I have two eyes. I didn't ask about his eyes.
I kind of flourish my robot arm from Sanubis, and I'm kind of like, "You should have got something more enhanced."
Oh, he looks at
like pointing it to him.
He looks at that and he actually becomes very interested and says, "Oh, the craftsmanship of that is truly impressive. Could that be? Did you have that installed by?" And he kind of looks at you knowingly, as if he recognizes the arcane machinery of the arm, and he kind of glances at you knowingly.
Yes, she does excellent work, doesn't she?
That she does. That's why we're doing what we're doing, lad. And he kind of winks at you as he continues wrapping some rope poorly around his hooked arm.
Yeah, I'll kind of pass by and join Armand over here.
AV, do you think he could feel it if I touched his robot arm?
Won't touch it. It's not the right time.
Okay. Later though.
Yeah.
And Sacris just basically, he's rubbing his temples. He's doing this as he slowly walks up the gangplank, and he's like, "Oh, this is going to be a long trip." And
Sacris, you've been around so long.
He trudges his way all the way up front, and he stares very intimidatingly at Swabby Knave. And Swabby Knave is giggling and laughing mischievously until Sacris just thunders up with mighty metallic foot armor. And he goes, boom, boom, boom. Swabby Knave looks up and stops his mischief, and Sacris goes, "I'm not going to have any trouble from you this trip, am I?" And Swabby Knave wets himself thoroughly and says, "No, maybe not." And Sacris narrows his eyes and says, "Good." And he makes his way up to the very front of the sails, and he looks very intently surveying the bustling shoreline, looking for threats.
I'm gonna back away from Leo and kind of look at him quizzingly and say, "Is there a reason that you're over here?"
Oh, I was just capturing the view with you.
I don't care for your kind, sir. You can step over there.
Whoa.
My kind? What do you mean by that?
I know your background.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant my fur.
No, I have nothing wrong with your fur.
Of course, because that would be a much different story. I'm fine with you being uncomfortable with my type. Many people are. I'll give you some distance. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to see what Cause is up to.
And of course, high up in the rafters, Sammy sails a young boy. He looks 14, 15 maybe, fairly thin, but very agile. Very gracefully, he wraps a rope around his arm and does this huge, cool, like Pirates of Penzance swing all the way around and down the rafters. And he lands directly at the feet of V. Sammy sails, looks up, and he says, "Are you a real Molten Reaver?"
And I am.
"What do you guys look like under the mask?"
You'll never know. It's a secret.
Wow. And he just looks all the way up and down at how extremely badass and awesome he look, and he says, Can I hold your weapon, the hammer there? How heavy is that?"
It's pretty heavy, but no.
Wow. Okay. Oh, well, I have a rope. Do you wanna see my rope? And he holds up the rope, hoping that he'll impress you with his very meager rope.
I've seen rope.
Okay.
I've seen some fine ropes.
I understand. Well, thank you for letting me meet you, sir. And he backs up, kind of embarrassed, and he tries to busy himself over here at the cannon, but his rope was clearly not impressive.
I'm gonna go over to him. I'm gonna ask, "Can I see your rope, little Sammy?"
And he, as your shadow towers over him, he rotates slowly and looks up and looks up and looks up. Oh, are you a Titan?
That I am. And that is a fine piece of rope there, Sammy.
And he's just, my rope, yes. What do you think of it? And his quivering hands kind of present it to you, hoping that it'll impress you.
That is the best, finest piece of rope I have ever seen there. Could I have it, Sammy?
Oh, yeah, yes, please. I've got so much of it, but this is my favorite. It's not a very long rope, but it's my very favorite. Would you use it on your adventures?
Absolutely. I'm going to kind of take out my pole arm. I'm going to tie it around it and kind of tighten it up next to my arm.
He starts to stumble backwards over the cannon there, and he's about to lose his footing and fall on his head with excitement.
Catch him.
He just stares.
Roll me a d6 armor. Let's see if you're fast enough to catch him.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll reach out
D6.
and try to catch him. 3.
All right, so that's just fast enough that you get to tell us how you catch him and in what way.
I'm going to kind of just reach out my arm and grab him without even looking, and then pull him back and say, "Be careful there, Sammy."
And he's just still a Twitter and just completely excited, going, "Oh yeah, yes sir, I will be very, very careful. Thank you so much, sir." With joy, he scampers off over to the other cannonballs so that he can continue the work that he was tasked to do before you all disembark. And he's just visibly shaken, having seen an actual Titan for the first time.
I'm going to walk up to the captain.
All right.
So, we almost ready to stand out of you?
"Oh, indeed we will." And he leans up a little bit closer to you and he says, "Sister Ari, in my conversations with her on our long voyage over the first time, she was mentioning the delicate surgery that needed to be done to restore the functionality of your lost arm.
Take a quick glance. I'm looking at who's listening to this conversation.
Roll me a d6. Let's see if you hear any of this. All right, 4. Excellent. So, Kaz, you are able to hear a decent chunk of this conversation, enough to basically know what they're talking about. Everyone else is too far away. Captain Tumult Viral says to you, she was rather impressed by the level of injury that you were in when you were brought to the city. It seems that her craftsmanship on your new arm is truly that of wonder.
Yes, it served me very well so far. I have no complaints at all.
And he leans in a bit closer to you and he says, there's one newer addition to my crew that was recommended by some, but did not get a 5-star rating from everyone. Swabby Knave over there. He's relatively new to the crew, and being that I trust you more than him at this point, if you'd help me keep an eye on him, just to make sure he doesn't slack off and, do what knaves do, I'd appreciate it, lad.
Yes, of course I could help.
Very good. He winks at you, but it's with his dead eye that's underneath the patch, so it kind of does nothing.
His face scrunches.
Yeah, his face scrunches in a way that would be a wink if he actually had an eye to wink with. Exactly.
I wink back, of course.
Very good. Issa approaches.
I'm going to go over to Leo and ask him. So, Leo.
Yes.
When was the last time you were in Parehu Jungle?
Oh, I honestly don't remember, actually.
Are you missing all of your memories or just some of them?
Well, I'm not missing my memories. I don't think. It was just a very long time ago.
You seem very familiar. I just wondered.
Don't think we've ever met. You look very distinct. I have a good memory. I'm pretty perceptive. So
While this is going on, can I roll Guile?
You may.
I want to try to sneak up just casually behind Leo.
Okay. Roll me a guile.
Oh boy.
Okay. Less guileful, so you attempt to sneak up. As he's trying to sneak his way up behind you, he stumbles 4 times over and lands face planted directly in front of your feet on the wood.
Yes.
Does this boat ever stop rocking?
Oh, what was your plan here, Cause?
Nope, nothing. I go back to the rail.
Back in the way slowly.
This cannon's cool.
To which Swabby Knave says, "Oi, these cannons are the coolest you ever saw." And he grabs a rope and swings all the way out and around and lands right next to Kaz and says, "Hey, would you like to learn some more about cannonballs?" And he starts juggling them in kind of a dangerous way right in front of you.
That looks sure.
Okay. And he takes the biggest one and he throws it up in the air expecting for you to catch it. Roll me a d6 to see what happens.
Oh, I don't even try. I just, because I was sitting there watching, so I'm just going to let it fall.
Okay. So you don't try to engage with it at all. Let's see. Roll me a d6 to see how fast you can get away from it. Okay. As this massive, like 80-pound bowling ball, he's a pretty strong dude, flies into the air, you're able to back up just in time for it to crash into the wood at your feet. And Captain Tumult says, "Swabby, get back to work. We got a voyage to go on here. And fix that darn wood." And Swabby Knave just kind of snarls and goes, "Arr," and he goes underneath or starts heading this direction to go.
I'll whisper to him, "It looked cool."
And he's like, "Well, thanks, kid." And Swabby Knave kind of jumps off here, and he's still kind of juggling his mighty cannonballs that he's trying to impress you, and it's not really working
He's
too
still
well.
juggling them even after that.
Yeah, exactly. So he's less focused on work and does not seem to be the most diligent of sort. At this point, Sacris actually flew up to the top of the rafters here into the crow's nest, and he says, "It seems a storm is on the way. We best be leaving soon." At that point, the captain rolls out a map, and the map, see here, shows you here at the Arcane City of Sanubis, and you're at the port of Sanubis, and the captain says, "Oi, we have a hard decision to make here, lads and lassies. We have to make our way all the way to the southwest here, to Taluma Shah," and his hook covers the map on Taluma Shah and pokes a hole through the map accidentally, and he goes, "Damn it, sorry," and he tries to fix it with his hook, and he tears it a bit more.
No.
And he's like, "Son of a biscuit!" And he keeps trying. His hook is now thoroughly caught in the map. He's like, "Ah!"
Give me that.
Okay, he hands you the map and he says, "Use your finger, please. I used to have 10. So we need to get to Taluma Shah. That's the last place that we heard contact from our beloved sister. In order to get there, we have 3 choices. We can either go through the very depths of hell itself into the torrent Ma, which is dangerous on its face, but it's the fastest route. We can go slightly north of the Torrent Maw, but we start teasing the southern tip of Brigand's Bay. And the pirates and the bloodthirsty hounds that live up there. Let's just say I used to be a bit friendlier with them, but I was a different man back then, and I don't think they wish to see me.
Captain, they're not, they're not so fierce. We could take them.
Let's just say you and I have a different relationship with them at this point, laddie. And he tries to pat your head with his hook, but he kind of remembers and says, whatever.
Stop that.
Other hand. And then he says, the third option is we had the longer route down into the Sea of Shadows. But the creatures and desperate monsters that live in those parts, I nary wish to sail through. But I will trust ye to decide if the 5 of ye vote.
Perhaps you should vote.
Which route is the funnest?
And he says to you,
a good
how dead do you want to be, lad?
I say we go north.
I would like to see giant sea creatures. But we're trying to help someone. So I look at V and go, shouldn't we go as fast as dangerously possible?
Fast, but danger is avoidable.
Sacris calls out from the top of the rafters. He says, it looks like a storm's coming. And the captain says, oi, you must decide before we go, lad.
Let's go up towards the pirates.
I like going towards the pirates.
Yeah, Brigand's Bay.
Sounds like we have 2 for pirates.
If we
I wanted to see what the Torrent Maw looked like.
We'll show you later, Cons. We'll show you later.
What is the quickest way, dear Captain? You know these seas better than I do. What is the absolute fastest way?
Though I hate to say it, lassie, if we're lucky enough, we may be able to sneak across the northern pass, dodging the Torrent Maw, and not running into those bastards of Brigand's Bay.
I say let's do it. Sister Ari deserves our support.
Agreed.
We need to find her. Let's go.
Very well. It seems we have an accord. We go north to the tip of Brigand's Bay. He kind of smashes his hook down triumphantly upon the table, and it gets stuck into the wood.
Okay, Buster.
You should really use your other hand.
I lean over to V and go, I bet he has a lot of problems going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So with that, you push away from dock. You're on the seas for about a day or so as you make your way north of the Torrent Maw. It's a wide enough whirlpool that you can see it from about 50 miles away. So it's a massive, massive...
I'm going to just kind of jump.
Don't jump in.
Jump back into, don't jump in. I know, I just jump off the boat into the, no, I'm just kidding. Cause, come on. No.
Cause, don't listen to him.
No, but I'm going to just kind of join in with the crew out of like kind of habit and start just doing all the things to maintain the ship as I formerly was able.
Perfect. And as you're doing that, Sammy Sells walks up to you and he says, could I have your help with these sails? My arms aren't quite big enough to reach the furthest one there. Can you give that a tug so we can rope it off?
Oh yes, of course I could. But when I was your size, I was able to maintain these sails. Maybe you should try get a little stronger like me.
Oh my! What do you recommend?
You have plenty of time out on this water, you know. Plenty of exercise and eat well. That can be a little difficult out here, but.
Did you eat grog too nonstop?
No. Let me get you something. I kind of pull some better food out of my pack, and I'll give it to him.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And and you see him visibly become inspired as you kind of navigate the ropes and swing around super coolly, and it looks awesome.
I have a question for you real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Can I try to use... So I have an ability called Comet Storm, but I want to just try to harness the storm aspect of that and try to accelerate our sails if I can.
Sure. Because you're not actually using the ability, roll me a d6 to see how you want to use this creatively. And I'm very interested to see where this goes. Oh! Did you just roll a 6?
Boop, 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 boop.
Oh!
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a sacred moment right here. Not only was he able to use a combat ability out of combat to help propel you forward, he happened to roll insanely well. So I indeed am going to reward our very first ever inspiration dice to Cause. Da-da-da!
Hey, well done, well done.
Creative use of game mechanics, and you happen to roll incredibly well. So that combines to the very first delivery of the inspiration dice.
As V walks up and goes, Cause, what are you... I finish harnessing the magic, and everyone like jerks back as the boat's like propelled forward faster.
Yeah, so it's like in every good anime, whenever they hit the hyperdrive, it's like, it's ludicrous speed! and people are like holding on to the ropes with legs flinging in the air. So while that's happening, Kaz, it seems that there was a remarkable amount of fanfare and lights that exploded up in the sky, and it seems to have drawn a little bit of attention. And you hear a mighty crack of a cannonball from farther up north. And indeed, the dread pirates of Brigand's Bay, with their black flags and sails, start approaching with a roar and they pull right up next to your ship as they launch cannonballs, and you hear the mighty rip and roar of excitement as they say, "Take them and burn down the ship! These are our waters!" As Captain Skinner Deadeye launches from across the way a hurl at, "Tumult, is that you, you scurvy bastard?" And Captain Tumult says, "Get thee behind me, ya land-loving lily! We're gonna take you down, just like I did back when we were younger." They start hurling insults that are not exactly PG-13.
Just as the pirates pull up, I stop casting the spell to go, "Oh, look, pirates!"
We slow down.
You have to immediately slow down the normal speed.
So basically, the two captains are engaging in an Eminem style rap battle of dissing for like the entire duration of what's about to happen, and they're just throwing jabs back and forth. Meanwhile, it is time for the fan to be thoroughly covered by feces. It's about to get dangerous up in here. As the storm starts raging around, it seems to cause the remainder of your comet storm is continuing. So the sky erupts with these missiles of arcane energy just crashing down into the ship. Being that the boat's no longer moving quite as fast, you're locked together in this torrent of battle. And it is now time for us to begin our first combat adventure. As everyone, would you please roll initiative? A standard D6, and we will dive right into the action. Ooh, we got a 6, we got a 4, we got a 1, we got a 3, we got a 2, we got a 6. All right, Leo, it looks like that because you rolled a beastly, literally and figuratively, 6, you get a surprise attack to set up any way you want. Keep in mind that there is verticality to this map, so you can use the rigging, the sails, you can try to find your way across to the other ship. There's a lot of verticality, so ropes are swinging everywhere. Take that into account. As Leo, you get a surprise attack on a target of your choice. So at this point, you will be using your combat abilities that are listed on the bottom of your sheet. You have 6 action-packed, hardcore, awesome abilities. What do you wish to do at this point? Everyone else, please be thinking of the ability you'd like to use for your first action so that we can dive right into the blistering action as we go.
I will grab one of the ropes near me and run off of this cannon here, swing across, and at the top of the swing, I'll jump off and kind of land on this guy, taking him to the ground, and then cutting back with my dagger as I take him to the ground. And I will use Shadow Slice for that.
All right, a Shadow Slice. This is a standard melee attack. You sneak behind your enemy, striking them from behind, dealing 2d6. That's 2 6-sided dices. And then you add 4 damage for each enemy you stealthed past. Because you went straight for him, you get a straight 2d6, then you add 4. So go ahead and roll me 2d6, please.
Wow.
10 damage right down onto the Dark Blade, and your blades find their purchase, and the Dark Blade there goes, "Ah!" And he stumbles back a bit, very clearly wounded, and he drops one of his daggers to the ground. He says, "Bastard, you'll get what's coming to you."
I don't know.
And with that, let's see. Armando, what is it that you do to engage and control this battle?
Okay, I'm going to run across, jump on one of these cannons, and then jump off the cannons onto the surface.
Excellent.
I'm going right for the biggest guy that I can see here.
Hell yeah, brother. This is an anvil fist. He's taller than you are. He's about 13 feet tall. He is pure muscle, and his fists are made of rod anvils attached to his hands. He's using anvils as like brass knuckles. Beefy dude. What do you do?
Titan Smash. And I'm going to slam your enemy with my weapon, dealing a d6 plus 3 damage and rooting them in place for 1 round.
Excellent. So 1 plus 3, a total of 4 damage to him. But you do indeed root him to the ground, and I'm sure that he would very much like to be moving during this fight. So this mighty anvil fist takes a huge slam directly to his chest. It hits him so hard, it actually shoves his feet into the wood of the ship, and he's trying to get out, and he's just flailing with his mighty fists. He roars in agony. "I will crush you."
Bring it on.
That's right. And next up, even before anyone else goes, there's a sheer blast right over here. A sheer blast appears to be an arcanist of some kind, and he kind of hisses and whispers as the wind roars around him, and he goes, "Ah, I see that there is a healer among you. I will change that. And he very intelligently targets V from way across the way. And he casts what appears to be a mighty bolt of frost, and he hopes to shatter you in ice. Go ahead and roll me. This is the first time someone's taking damage on the heroic side. V, roll me a d6. Let's see how much damage you take.
Yeah.
So V, because you rolled a 4, you do indeed take less damage than you otherwise would have. You take 1 less damage, which is a benefit to you. However, it is a mighty strike, and it looks like that this ice blast, instead of shattering you and instead of encasing you in ice, it does hit you directly in the top left shoulder, and it pierces you for 6 damage. 6 damage.
What's my starting health again?
So everyone, if you click your hero, if you click your hero's
20.
square there, it pops up with your number up top. You have 20, and it's your responsibility, heroes, to go ahead and adjust your health as we go along. So it's kind of a hero's honor. So V, if you could go ahead and click that 20 above you and change that to 14 for us as you took 6 damage. I'm a legend master, not a math master. All right, so V is down to 14 health. The healer is currently the most damaged among you. Next up, Gouge Shank. This rather nasty looking dude that seems to have something green dripping from his blades sees that there is what seems to be a very powerful but very unprotected arcanist on your side, and he grabs a rope and he swings all the way around here behind dripping this poisonous liquid, and he says, "All right, green kid, get ready to die." Go ahead and roll a standard d6 to see how much damage you take. So 2, it looks like you take a little extra damage. It looks like you were not ready for his attack. And as he circles all the way around behind you, feel his breath on the back of your neck, and 2 daggers stab you right in the back. It strikes you very hard. You take a solid 7 points of damage.
Okay.
And it seems that you are now poisoned due to the attack. You were surprised by it, and your meager 20 health is indeed down to 13. It seems both of our cloth-wearing targets have been targeted by these rather adept pirates. Issa, what do you do?
Well, I'm going to see that this guy is attacking Kaz, and immediately I'm going to stand my ground and pull my bow and use my quick shot and aim right for his head.
Excellent. So you target Gouge Shank there.
I'm using my quick shot, which is a deadly arrow at range, dealing 2d6 plus 3.
Excellent. Please roll 2d6, and we will add 3 to those dice rolls. Holy moly.
Don't make the elf mad.
So, for those of you that are watching at home, that's insanely good. She did the best she possibly could. She rolled a 6, which is a critical hit. It's the best you could do. And another 6, which is a double critical hit, plus a 3. So she gets the full advantage of maximum dice. So a total of 15 damage. Amazingly enough, because of your sharp eye and your wise positioning kind of in the back of the group to be able to survey all that's going on, you indeed did notice that Gouge Shank was circling all the way around. And though Kaz was not ready for it, you certainly were. So right after the daggers sunk deep into Kaz's back and you heard him cry, you already had your arrows knocked and you're ready. And describe to me exactly what happens during this attack.
I yell very loudly, "No!" And I pull my bow and immediately let the arrows fly. And its divine arrows of divine golden light immediately pierce into Gouge Shank's body, one at his shoulder, one into his chest, and one into the back of his head.
Excellent. Kaz, the second after you get stabbed, you hurl around to see what's attacking you, and you turn around just in time to see Gouge Shank's face go from to a contortion, and you see an arrow piercing all the way through places he did not want an arrow to be pierced, and he collapses in a pile of very no longer living evil man. Though you are still very injured, Kaz, you have a chance to glance over at Issa and say something if you wish.
I didn't get his name.
Ever the willing socialist.
Silly one.
Disappointed. He'd be like, but I didn't get his name.
I didn't even know who he was.
And Sacris looks down and says, "You can search him later, boy. Fight!" Gut Ripper seems to have hooks for his weapons, and he leaps all the way up and over Anvil Fist, and he's very interested in putting a hurting on Armin, who pummeled Anvil Fist into the ground a bit there. And Gut Ripper tries to kind of stab you from above, down from the rafters. Armin, would you be so kind as to roll me a d6 for your defense? Ooh, okay. So in the chaos and the storm raging around, it looks like, Armand, you were successful in your attack on Anvil Fist, and in that brief moment, you were distracted by your success. And Gut Ripper indeed does slice into the little area right where your armor is vacant at the very top of your neck, and he latches a hook deep inside this area of your armor and starts to rip the armor off of you, and you do indeed take 12 points of damage. Kaz, you indeed are next.
Okay, I will see those two guys having a rat battle, and I will use my defensive ability to swap one enemy and one ally. So I'll swap the pirate guy and Sacris so that the pirate
Holy
guys
crap!
so
It's
the
on,
pirate
baby!
guys
It's
can
on!
talk. Because they look like, because I can't hear what anyone else is saying because of their shouting. And I'm like, I'll just move them closer to each other so that they don't have to talk so loudly.
All right. Would you be so kind as to read what you are doing in the badass nature of this ability?
It's Arcane Exchange. It's a standard defensive ability. Envelop one visible friend and one visible enemy in arcane energy, swapping their places through space and time. So I'm going to swap Sacris with the other pirate captain, putting them very close to each other. And Sacris
awesome.
on the enemy ship so he can go destroy things.
Oh, it's go time, baby. It's go time. And you can go ahead and swap them yourself if you'd like. All right, so your Arcane Exchanging Captain Skinner Deatheye with the mighty and very pissed off Sacris. And it's on. It's on like the break of dawn. So with that remarkably excellent ability, Captain Skinner Deatheye is a bit surprised that he's now within punching range of the dude that he's rap battling. As they're rap battling, they're now close enough that they start like breakdance battling as they go. It's like, oh, you want some? And they're like tapping heels together as they're going, and they're swinging blades. And Captain Tumble has like a hook he's flinging around, and he catches Skinner Deatheye's hat with it, and he's going, ha ha ha, yo mama, and they're getting at it, baby. It's like this is the ultimate showdown of rap battles, and they're getting at it. It's real.
Have they accomplished his goal? Are they a little quieter now that they're closer? Or they just got like louder?
As a bit of as a kindness to everybody, Sacris, as he was being exchanged, Sacris is very well attuned to the arcane ways. He's aware. He's been around a while. He knew it was coming. So before he left and before he got swapped with Kaz's ability, he went ahead and popped one of those little cone of silence abilities to quiet it down a little bit. Take the volume down a little bit so the adults can get their fighting out of it.
What's gonna happen?
Exactly. So Sacris is now, the Hulk is unleashed, and Sacris looks over at Armand, and with a knowing glance, he's like, brother, it's go time. So next up, we have V. People are hurting.
I'm going to use Rebuke on old Gut Ripper. Rebuke. Reach forth your hand, manifesting a righteous light, striking enemies, and then healing +4 to any ally, basically.
That's right. So you're stealing a D6 +4 health
Yep.
from a foe and restoring it to an ally. Great. So it's 4 + 4, total of 8. So you're stealing health from him. What ally do you give it to?
Armando needs a little bit of loving right now.
Yes, he does. Armando could use some mighty rejuvenation.
I think you so.
That's right. So with that, Gut Ripper does indeed feel the kind of the life force energy leave a portion of his body, and he cries out with an ah, and he kind of contorts.
And I'll scream back, ah! Ah!
It's like a Tarzan yelling session for a solid 10 seconds.
I'll look back at V and go, why are they yelling? They're right next to each other.
Can't everyone just be quiet?
The sound of the water makes it louder.
And they both start doing a haka dance. It's like, it's very intimidating. Anvil Fist joins in with a haka, and they're all trying to manly each other.
I don't understand why everyone's screaming.
Why are they yelling? I don't know.
Humans always just scream when they fight.
It's true. It's true. Due to the might of your breath, Armand, Gut Ripper is starting to his life has been sucked out of him a little bit, and he's kind of intimidated by you. So he starts stumbling backwards, and he falls down on the ground. And it is indeed Leo's turn.
Excellent. I will actually just smoke bomb though this turn. So after I kind of come down on this guy, get a slash at him, I'm gonna like drop a smoke bomb and kind of disappear. The smoke bomb is a standard defensive ability. Exploding a smoke bomb at your feet, I return to stealth and evade all damage for 1 round. The next round, I add 1d6 damage to your next attack, plus 2 damage for each foe you stealth pass.
Right. So this is the ultimate setup ability for a rogue to start comboing crazy amounts of damage. Okay, so right when you do that, it seems that the very quiet and heretofore unannounced Scream Bolt has been pulling back an incredibly large bolt in his crossbow. It looks beefy, and it looks like it's more mighty than just a hunk of metal. There's something weird about this bolt. And he has been aiming it at the beautiful Issa at the far edge. Holy crap, it's about to go down. So, Issa, I would like for you to roll a defensive D6 to see what hells await you. Okay, 4. So you take 1 less damage, thankfully. In the chaos of the arcane storm that's crashing down and the roar of the waves, the cannonballs flying and all the cries of adventure, that this very large bolt, it's probably a solid like 2-3 feet long, and it's made of a very dangerous material that is more than just metal, screams through the air with a piercing howl, shredding a part of the sails between him and you, and he nails his shot directly in the top left of your chest, and it pierces all the way through, and it's dangling there as your left arm goes limp, and you take a painful 8 points of damage, Isa. Coming up next, we do indeed have Armando.
I would like to climb up, grab onto Scream Bolt, throw him down, and as he's falling down, I want to do a shock wave down into the ground. So basically, I'm falling with him. So I grab him, pull him off, and I'm going down with a shock wave right in the middle of as many people as I can.
Fantastic. I like the idea. Roll me a d6 before you do it to see how successful you are at the bonus cool thing you want to do.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay. We can work with that. So you get to describe exactly how you do it, and then you'll roll for the damage.
Okay, I run up, I grab onto Scream Bolt, and I throw him down. And as he goes past me, I basically jump down. I'm going to do a shockwave right in the middle of 3 or 4 of these guys.
Fantastic. And the ability here, you're a 7-foot Titan, you're really beefy and insane. You can straight up leap up into the air. I'll let you leap the 15 feet or the 20 feet if you want.
Okay. Leap into the air and shatter the earth, knocking all enemy minions to the ground, stunning them for 1 round and dealing 2d6 damage to your targets.
Fantastic.
I will go for Scream Bolt because I saw what he just did.
Excellent. So as you do that, Scream Bolt was definitely not expecting for a 7-foot tall, super beefy dude to jump from the deck of the ship 20 feet into the air and basically crush him like a Mario mushroom. So it's about
imagine
to
the
get
ship
funky.
just kind of like,
Yeah,
like
well, it's even better. It's even better. So when you do this, check this out. The might and girth of your armor and your strength and your momentum, you straight up are able to flatten him like a freaking mushroom. And you shove the masthead down through the boat, and the boat starts taking on water as it rocks the entire boat, and all those enemies on the boat were not ready for that. The other heroes on the boat, they knew it was coming. They saw it in the corner of the eye. But the bad guys that were fighting the heroes, they were not ready for it. They all indeed are knocked to the ground. Scream Bolt is now a 2-dimensional mushroom left over by Mario.
Oopsies.
Yeah,
did you
and so
get his name?
and he screams, "Bolt!" And he is very, very no longer among the living. All right. First of all, round of applause for that freaking awesome use of game mechanics. And Armand, I would indeed like to bestow upon you for creative use of game mechanics and insanely good rolling. Your very first ever inspiration dice. Da, 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 da. All right. Coming up next, we have Steel Slice, our friend on the bottom right here. He happens to notice that V over in the corner there looks way too comfortable. So he indeed grabs a rope, and he's going to swing all the way around here, and he's going to miss you on the first time. Son of a bit! And then he rolls all the way back around. I'm going to get you! And he comes all the way back around again. He slipped a little bit. And he comes all the way back around again. And because he messed up a little bit on his first way around, you see what's coming. So I'll let you roll a d6 to see if you're able to shut him down before he's able to unload on you. Okay. So as he's trying to swing and slash at you, he tries to connect with a little bit of damage, and you do indeed take 2 points of just kind of nick damage on your shoulder, but he slips off the rope and crashes down at your feet, and he's just flailing with his weapon like, he's very sloppy in his attack, trying to slice you up.
It's just a flesh wound.
Indeed. It is just indeed a flesh wound. As you're doing that, Captain Tumult lands a beefy one-liner on Captain Skinner. Yo, mama's so fat, her belt size is the equator. And Sheer Blast in the corner goes, oh! And it is Issa's turn.
I say, oh, also.
Like a little squeak in the corner. And Captain Tumult goes, and he lifts his eye patch and doesn't wink at you, but he tries.
I'm going to survey the entire both decks. Is it okay if I actually jump up to the crow's nest so that I can shoot down?
You can.
So I'm going to do that. And I want to look down and survey all the decks and use my Sniper's Wrath ability. Ooh. So Sniper's Wrath is an epic ability. And I notch 1 flaming arrow in my bow for each enemy outside melee range. And I deal 1d6 plus 5 If I roll a 5 or a 6, they burst into flame, dealing an extra d6 damage.
It's about to get hot up in here.
I would like to do that. So pretty much everyone is outside my melee range. So that would mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 arrows. So I'm going to roll.
Okay. So you did not roll a 5 or a 6, but you do indeed deal 7 damage to all those outside of your melee range. And the only one that would be inside your melee range is Gouge Shank, and he's super not alive anymore. So literally everyone on the map that you don't like does indeed take a shot of 7 damage as you rapid fire a large amount of arrows, nailing their targets quite succinctly. And I will make that notation. Very good. Okay, so as you do that, Sheer Blast, the enemy caster over here, takes it directly into his abdomen. He goes, "Oy vey!" and sucked up into the waves. And
He became
no
Jewish
longer
real fast.
Yeah.
Well, it's on his mother's side, darling.
Yeah.
He's no longer a direct threat to you. He's in the water and basically out of this fight. Gut Ripper, with that attack, is teetering on the edge of life and falls down to one knee. Anvil Fist, it shot him in the shoulder, and he grunts over you like, "Watch it, girl." Captain Skinner was just about to launch another boom one-liner on Tumult, but the arrow shot him in the big toe, and he's like, "Son of a biscuit!" And it messed up his one-liner, and he's very embarrassed.
Oof.
And that is a beefy turn. Well done, Issa. Coming up next, we have Kaz.
I will use my defensive Arcane Exchange again, and I will swap Issa and Anvil Fist, putting him, the big, huge guy,
In the crow's nest.
in the crow's nest.
Holy crap. It's like 700 pounds.
And I'll look up to him and go, "Hi, I'm Kaz. Would you like to join our crew?"
And Anvil Fist is incredibly confused by what just happened, by his girth and might. The crow's nest was not designed for a 700-pound dude to occupy that, and it starts crumbling, and he's desperately trying to claw onto these toothpicks worth of wood as he's clawing and ripping on the sails and stuff and trying to soften the land as he starts crashing down. And because that was a very creative use of game mechanics, would you roll me a d6 to see how hurt he is when he lands? Okay, so because he's beefy enough that normally falling from that distance wouldn't hurt him so much, he does indeed land on a sharp piece of wood, and it spikes all the way up through his chin, and he's like, "Ah, kid, you're next." Do you respond to his jeer?
But you're losing. You could just join our crew, and then you won't have to get hurt.
How good are the benefits?
You live. I'm like, "You live," and he doesn't kill you. And I point behind at V, who looks menacingly behind me.
Okay, and with that, Kaz, roll me a d6. Let's see.
You want me to roll a persuasion?
Yeah. Well, we'll do a rare in-combat persuasion to see what happens with
Or
this
a charm.
exchange.
Sorry, it's a charm.
Okay, charm. Yeah.
That's why I wanted to ask, because it's
Oh,
5.
it's happening! Okay, so Anvil Fist, his feet are kind of messed up from what Armin did to him, and he just fell, and his chin's a bit messed up. And he's thinking about the medical costs associated. He doesn't have very good insurance.
I'm like, look,
Gotta heal it.
he's dead, and that guy's a pancake.
And Anvil Fist is saying, "Oh, I knew Screambolt back when he was two-dimensional, but now he's kind of a squished mushroom. So what were you saying about those benefits, Kaz?"
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, and he is rubbing his sore head in his hands, and he says, "I think I'll sit the rest of this one out." And he just kind of backs up.
I was like, we could pretend to fight to make it look like you're doing your job.
And he leans in and goes, "Okay, have you ever heard of the wrestling ring of the Fairjew warlords?"
Yes, I have.
"Oh, what do you say we pretend that we do that, okay?"
All right, let's do it.
All right, so he lifts you up on the back of his shoulder and starts spinning you around.
And I'll be like trying to punch him
exactly
from the top.
So he's Hulk Hoganing you all the way around. He's about to tombstone you, but you like roll him back over, and he flops on the ground and says, "Oh!" And he's super playing
I
off like
somehow do a Hurricanrana on him. We don't know.
Exactly. And Captain Skinner Deatheye, his previous boss, is looking over like, "You just can't get good help these days." And Anvil Fist seems to be much friendlier towards your cause at this point. And next up, after that amazing moment, V, you are up.
Okay, all right. Let's do another rebuke on him.
All right.
We can heal up some people. I like this. Let's get
Yes,
some
we
heals
know that
up.
ability. You're taking health from him, and you're giving it to
Taking
someone
health from
friendly.
him. Yep. So I got to roll a d6 plus 4.
That's the rock solid 8 damage to him. And due to his wildly horrible attack on you, where he basically hurt himself trying to get to you with a swing that went around and around, and then he crashed at your feet. With that, he goes straight up unconscious as you lay the banhammer straight down on him, and this
See you later,
rush
buddy.
of light smashes straight into him, and he's out cold, and he's no longer a threat, and you get to restore that amount of health to whoever you wish.
Whose health is lowest?
Cause
But he's busy. He's fine.
And he's poisoned.
Oh yeah, what does poison do to me, by the way?
On the next round, you'll be taking an extra 2 damage.
Let's toss the heal on Cause.
All right,
Focus
so
one.
you are. It looks like you are back up to 17, which is very timely. You're starting to get poisony there. So if you're healed to full, it cleanses you of your lingering effects. FYI. Sacris, he charges towards the dark blade here. It's pretty cool what he has. He has 2 bucklers basically. And out of these bucklers, he's able to manifest light-based weapons. And he basically summons this massive shield made out of light. And he summons a twin-bladed polearm, where it's a blade out of the front side, blade out of the back side. It's about 7 feet total length. And he starts spinning it like a helicopter and completely slices straight through Darkblade's feet. And it doesn't sever his legs off, but it does indeed knock him up in the air, and he backflips like 3 times and crashes down onto the wood. And Sacris takes his long blade straight down and points it at his neck and says, "Yield or die." And Darkblade is a bit intimidated at the moment. And next up, we have Leo.
I'm going to be looking down at my shield and my polearm and looking up back at him and just kind of sitting there just going, oh.
I'm kind of invisible. I'm going to kind of like brush past this guy right here. Like intentionally, like kind of like back check him on the backside, so he's kind of like, and keep moving by him. And I'm gonna take a look like in the distance at Death Eye across on the other boat. And then I'm going to use Dark Trickster, my ultimate.
Oh, it's go time, baby! Read this insane ability. Read it.
I become one with the shadows, instantly appearing behind a foe, stealing their weapon and striking them with it, dealing 3d6 plus 5 and distracting 2 of the closest foes, increasing the damage done on them for 1 round by 5.
This ability is insane.
And then I return to stealth after I do the attack.
You do exactly that. So this is your rogue ultimate ability. You get to do this once per encounter, and you do indeed get to steal Captain Skinner Death-Eye's weapon and smack him with it.
I am in the shadows there, peering at him, instantly kind of become with the shadows and reappear behind him. And I grab his weapon out from behind and kind of plunge it back this way. Just kind of like, kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see what we do. What damage we do here. Well, not math.
Oh!
Sometimes you roll 2 ones.
Oh, no.
There was a moment where Issa rolled a 6 and a 6, and it was pretty amazing. And then this stuff happens sometimes.
You wasted our good rolls earlier.
I do get like +4 and +5.
As a reminder to our friends watching, because our rogue very wisely smoke bombed last turn, it was a defensive ability, it sets up a crazy amount of damage for the next ability. So even though the roll was not absolutely stellar, you did have the forethought to go ahead and set up for big damage with the combo of your smoke bomb. So you do 4 damage, plus you also deal the 1d6 plus 2 damage for each foe you stealth past, and you technically stealth past Anvil Fist as well. So it's 2 that you stealth past.
13 total damage.
Oh, rogues are kind of insane when you combo abilities that well. That's good stuff. All right, so with that, you do indeed slice him so hard his hat falls off, and it shows a really bad toupee, like a generic brand made in Pretensia toupee. It's not the best quality toupee, and it's kind of flopping in the breeze very dramatically, not attached to most of its head.
So it gives Tumult some more, fuel for his battling.
Exactly.
He's gonna be able to mention, the toupee.
That's right. And Tumult pops a, "Hey, yo, I'm a baller, but you got bald."
Oh my goodness. All right. But as soon as I stab, I re-disappear.
Fantastic. So you return to stealth. And with that line, the baller bald thing, you hear Sheer Blast from under the waves bubbling up going, "Oh!" So he celebrated the burn, though he's basically underwater at the moment. All right. So with that, Captain Skinner Death Eye is not only deeply damaged, but he's super, super embarrassed. And he just kind of slowly backs away from Tumult after that burn. He's desperately trying to pick up his hat and like grab his weapon back, and he's having a lot of difficulty doing that. He's like, well, I didn't really, I have stuff to do. I didn't really actually want to be here, so I'm just gonna. and he flops. He splashes in the water accidentally. And he loses his hat and he drops his weapon and he's dripping wet and kind of barely climbs back onto his boat over here. And he makes his way back up to the top of his ship and he says, "Hey, you vagabonds, get out of here. It's time to move before they claim the ship themselves." And with that, Sacris looks up at him and he says, "You better be glad that we have things to do. Otherwise, this would be your end." And he lifts up the blade from Darkblade, and with a mighty swoosh of his wings, he flies up into the air, and he soars back over and lands up back in the crow's nest in the front here, and he eyes Captain Skinner Deatheye very intensely. Captain Skinner Deatheye is furiously kind of spinning the wheel of his ship, and he's desperately trying to get away as those that fell into the water are kind of trying to climb their way back up. And his ship looks like it's starting to take on some water as it veers farther north, trying to get out of there. And Steel Slice sees what's going on, and he jumps off the ship, and he tries to make his way back over here. At this point, it looks like that Captain Skinner's ship is about to be pulling away from our very own and illustrious Tempest Chaser. And heroes that are on the enemy ship, you're welcome to choose what you do next.
I am going to run up and take a swipe at the captain again.
All right. All right.
And the need to vanquish all that is evil.
Very good.
My goodness.
And what do you wish to do?
So I will run up to him and I will do a gladiator leap. Charge your enemy in range, deal 1d6 plus 1 damage, and deal 3 damage to each other foe in the melee range.
Excellent.
This guy's not looking good, I guess, next to me.
He is embarrassed and he's super on the very edge. And go and roll us a 1d6 plus 3 to each foe in melee range. And he does indeed have Steel Slice in melee range, so you get the bonus there. Ooh, very nice. Deal 6 to him, and you deal 3 to the barely conscious Steel Slice. And Steel Slice, who is just barely kind of clawing his way back up the ship, gets hit by your tertiary damage and falls back into the water. Super embarrassed, and it's hilarious. And you do indeed, with your beefy 6, you totally just boom, pummel Captain Skinner Deatheye into the ground of his ship, and he's basically out of the fight. And his toupee gloriously flows up in the breeze and lands in the water, never to be seen again. And that is a mighty, mighty attack.
Cos wants that as a trinket, doesn't he?
I do.
Would you like that? Now, hang on. Cos, roll me a d6. Let's see if you're able to arcanely grab it before.
I am too busy wrestling right now. I'm doing a swanton bomb off of the top there onto Anvil Fist.
Who is it that suggested the toupee would be interesting to Cos? Was that V?
Yeah.
Okay, V. Being that you have the ability to levitate stuff, roll me a d6. Let's see if you're able to catch it through arcane holy means before it falls in the water.
Oh.
Okay. You are able to grab a little chunk of the hair, but most of it falls off into the edge.
A fish comes up and just
eats it.
Would you like to keep it?
I got a couple strands for you.
All right. So you get a tiny little bit of it, but you don't get the full toupee. The full toupee flops off into the ocean, and some mermaid's going to wear it and look great henceforth.
I say this will be excellent for my heel phase, and I try to mustache.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you could totally start working a mustache off of the fake toupee
blue.
from Captain Skinner Deatheye. So V, you now have in your inventory a sprig of Captain Skinner Deatheye's super low quality toupee hair.
Super low quality.
Got to be the most useful item in this game.
That's right. That
It's
is
just the
critical.
final temple, and it's like place an item to advance in the temple of the holy, and it's just like place
Here's
the
the
hair.
hairs.
It's a
The
beard that
stone
came from
door
Locks
is
of
like
Love.
certain-
Exactly.
Like what?
To pay or to pay, that is the question.
That should totally be the
Then a
outro theme
musical
song for
starts
this episode.
exactly.
Pay or not to pay. All right. So with that, now that the boat is without a captain and is kind of ruddering off into the distance, it is speeding away from the Tempest Chaser. Heroes, what do you do?
I'm going to jump over to the other ship.
All right. And describe exactly how cool it is that you make your way back over there.
I'm usually very graceful, but this particular time I hop and I leap and I jump off and I catch my foot right on this little stairway right here and kind of land on my knees and almost thump my chin on the floor. But I make it and I'm fine.
But you make it.
As I see her begin to stumble, I'm gonna kind of come up, even though I'm shadow, like so nothing seemingly kind of catches her.
Oh, cool. Leah, roll me a d6 real quick. Let's see how successful you are on that catch. I like that idea. So that is good enough for you to be able to catch her and help cushion her before she falls.
So
And,
as they're starting to pull away, I see Armando still over there,
Mhm.
and I'll just and sneeze and swap Gouge Shank's body with Armand.
It's like an accidental perfect targeting. All right, so you do indeed pop an Arcane Exchange. So Armin, this is pretty cool. Right after you basically like crush the captain, he's totally out of it, into the wood. You're like, yes, and then suddenly you're like, where the hell am I?
I'm gonna look over at Kaz and say, "Did you do this?" Kind of like angrily.
He's got me in a headlock. It's.
and Anvil Fist has got you like he's like spinning you around on his back and weaving you around like you're a puppet, and yeah, so you're playing up the WWF thing really big here. It's beautiful. All right, so at this point the pirate ship is fully stocked with pirates. Captain Skinner Deatheye barely is able to kind of quiver his hand up in the air, and he says, "Captain Tumult, this isn't the last you've heard of me." And Anvil Fist takes a gigantic cannonball and throws it over, and it smacks Captain Skinner Deatheye in the head and goes, "Ah! This is the last you've heard of me." And the boat zips off north back to the Pirate's Cove. And you indeed are victorious in your first combat experience.
Well done. Well done.
Now, as you're on the ship, the heat of battle has softened a bit, and the comet storm that Kaz did at the beginning to catch the pirates' attention from the north, the comet storm is starting to settle a bit, and you now have a new friend, Anvil Fist, and he sees that the action is basically over, and he stops his fake pile drive of Kaz, and Kaz, you're able to kind of like flip him over onto his back, and he starts laughing at your remarkable dexterity for such a young and slender elf, and he kind of starts laughing and reaches his hand so you can help him up.
Yep, I help him up. I go, "What's your real name?"
Okay, well, I may as well tell you. My real name is Soft Fist.
This is Softy, Captain. He wants to join your crew.
And he looks kind of sheepish that you know his real name, his maiden name, as they say. And his name does indeed change from Anvil Fist to Softy. And that is reflected in his nameplate. He kind of starts smiling. He's a little nervous because he doesn't really have that many friends, but Kaz seems to kind of have softened his heart a bit. And Softy kind of sheepishly, with his, he's massive, he sheepishly kind of waves at everyone and says, "Hello."
No. Hello, Softy. It's nice to have you on board. A man of your size can be very helpful, especially in combat or reaching very high things.
I look at the captain and go, "Yeah, he could probably pick up a whole cannon or something."
Oh, and he says, "Oh, I can do even better than that." And he goes over and he puts one cannon on each shoulder and starts going, "See the guns on these guns?"
I clap.
That's right. And in reference to your comment, Issa, he kind of blushes at you.
No.
And Softy drops the cannons with a big thud on the ground, only slightly damaging the deck. And he walks over to Armin, very embarrassed, and he says, "So, sorry about almost killing you back there."
I'm gonna look at him and say, "Are you truly sorry?"
"Well, things are rough back at home, and I had to pick up some spot work. I'm not really a pirate. I'm more into the harmonica personally, but in this economy, it's hard to find work anywhere.
I
harmonica.
pointed at a tattoo on his arm. I said, "Look, it's music notes."
Are you a musician too?
No. But I like to play.
And he whips out his harmonica and starts playing a dirge.
Can I see that?
Sure. And it's a huge. It looks like a freaking brick. It's his size harmonica, and he hands it to you, and it's like 100 pounds, and you're oof, and you kind of start playing it. And he's impressed. He kind of claps and goes, "That's a good start you got there."
I hand it back to him.
You feel like this 100-pound burden, this massive weight lifting off you, and he picks it up with two fingers and starts playing again.
At this point, I'll just reappear, kind of, like right next to Armando. It's great to be skeptical and all. I agree with that, but you can fake it a little more. It makes you feel a little more comfortable.
I'm gonna jump up when he does that and take a swipe at him, almost out of fear.
Oh, yeah.
He just came out of nowhere.
At Leo?
Yeah, I didn't know what happened.
Armando, roll me a d6. Leo, roll me a d6. Let's see what happens here. All right. Oh, we got a 3 on Armando's attack.
I got a 6.
So Armando, very surprised by the incredibly stealthy nature of the feline that's just snuck up behind him, swirls his bladed weapon around in a huge swath, completely misses you, and you indeed are able to kind of recover gracefully as you approach him, and you're able to say whatever you wish, Leo.
Like a cat landing on his feet.
Oh, whoa. Calm down there. You're really a jumpy one, aren't you? Skeptical.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I didn't mean to do that. And I'm just going to kind of back away and check my pockets too for my gold to make sure it's about 100 gold full.
Excellent. All right. So with that, everyone is kind of settling in. The sun starts to set a bit as you continue to make your way for another 5 or 6 hours on the high seas. And people are settling in. Softy is kind of easing into the evening as he plays a pleasant dirge. And the torrential rain and storm that took place during the battle starts to be replaced by the beauty of this particular sky. And the seas, you pass the Torrent Maw, you pass the northern area of the pirates, and you think you're into slightly safer waters as you start to move west towards the Crescent Cove, south of the markets of Thalassa. Wide open sea as far as the eye can see, and you've got about another half day or day or so before the ship makes it into Taluma Shah, and you have just a brief respite with all of your injuries and your wounds to get some rest and to feast well, and you have just a moment as you gaze up into the beauty of the sky to do what you wish for 1 round apiece.
Start drinking.
All right. So the captain rolls out his finest barrel of ale. His first mate makes available, and you're all kind of roughed up. You're a little bloody. You
Gotta relax.
take the arrows
Wait.
out.
How do you drink through the mask?
I have a straw.
Oh.
Metal.
Personal
Right.
straw.
Metal straw.
He pulls out
It's
a
a
metal straw.
too. Metal straw. Recycling
these at
is
home.
important.
That's how they do it at home too.
And it perfectly matches your armor with like cool
Oh.
runes on it. It's
Of
super
course.
slick.
Yeah, it blends right in. Just
It probably like just fits into a slot of your armor that people can't tell.
Yeah.
Like it just.
pop that bad boy up.
I will join V, celebrating our first victory.
For good times. Nobody
And-
died.
Yes.
Kaz didn't cause too much trouble.
Mhm.
Only a little
Made
bit
us a new
fun
friend.
amount. Yes,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yes.
Kaz just rolled a 3. What is that for?
I was gonna see how seasick I was.
Excellent. So with a 3, the poison that is in your system, I don't know if you've been fully restored to full health yet. B, you have the
Oh.
option to during rest periods.
Okay.
So let's say in this moment, Kaz is still visibly sick from the poison and from still being lower in health. He stumbles towards you, probably looking for a little bit of medical assistance. What do you guys do?
All right. Let's do Cascade. Get him a nice little heal.
Okay. So you restore
Use
him to
my-
full health. And Kaz, how do you respond?
Oh, I'll be like, oh, thank you, V. Appreciate it.
Very nice. And you are no longer poisoned. Your health has been fully restored to max. Kaz, are you eyeing that brew? What are you doing?
Oh no, I'm drinking water probably.
You hear the thunder of Sacris's footsteps, so that this mighty 7-foot bird full of plate armor sits down next to you on the bench there in the galley underneath the top of the deck. It almost seesaws you up a little bit as you're sitting there, and he kind of catches you and sets you back down. He says, "So kid, I see you've got good taste in sparkling. Cheers to you." And he clinks this. It's a big glass to you, but it's a tiny one to him. He kind of clinks glasses with you and smiles. He's still got a stern face, but he's warming just a little bit to you, kid. He's glad someone else likes the drink that he prefers.
I'm going to open the little satchel that I have because I secreted some little sweet treats of different varieties. And since everyone's kind of having a drink and relaxing and we just worked our butts off and we just won this big fight, and I'm going to present them to everyone so they can pick what they would like if they would like one. And then I'm going to settle down and have a little sweet treat and take a nap.
We got snacks, boys. The generous bounty is splayed out on the table. Sample and enjoy and restore yourself to full health before you make your way to your rest.
I'm going to grab some samples of food too, and then I'm going to sit next to Kaz. And I'm going to just kind of cozy up next to him and say, Kaz, why'd you teleport me out there? I was vanquishing evil.
They were vanquished. They were definitely vanquished.
They were not vanquished enough until I had their heads in my hand.
I'm gonna chime in on that one. And are you sure they were evil?
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of raise my eyebrow up. Do not try to muddy the waters, thief, rogue.
But the waters are already muddy. You're just ignoring them in arrogance.
Oh, hold
Things
on. Hold
are
on.
crystal clear here.
I was gonna say there are no muddy waters here.
And
I look over
lifted-
the edge. I look over the edge.
What about
You taking it literally?
what about our dear friend here, Softy?
Softy,
Are the waters not always muddy?
Softy, I have my eye on Softy as I do you.
Softy's sitting off in the corner in the dark, very shy, and he's just playing his harmonica. He looks a little hungry, but he doesn't say anything. He's out of kind of fear.
I motion him over for snacks.
He's not believing it very much that someone would want to invite him to spend time with them. He's looking at you kind of hesitantly.
I'll raise my
There's snacks.
His eyes lighten and brighten. He's almost crying with joy as he kind of thunders his way towards the seat. And there doesn't seem to be a seat big enough for him, though. He doesn't know where to sit.
Softy, just sit on the floor. It's okay. And you can have all of these snacks.
Oh, I'll save some for you, but thank you. And he plops down on the floor, and he's so tall that the table comes up to about his belly button. So he's able to reach his big fat fingers into one of the bowls and take out one little thing. And he goes, that's the nicest thing I've ever tasted.
Wait till you try this. And I pour him a drink of water.
Oh, wait, is this clean water?
Yes.
I've never had clean water before. And he reaches down, the chalice is huge in your hand, but he takes it in his fingers and goes, is this what food and water's supposed to taste like?
Sometimes.
Wow. I got to get off a ship more often. And he breaks out his harmonica and starts playing tunes as you request classic songs that your peoples love from all over the world.
I'm going to point at B and kind of poke him in the side and go, I'm still hurt. You are the priest. Could I have a heal?
Yes.
I have to think about that.
Stares.
I'm like poking him like, bing,
Yes.
bing.
All right. I'm going to use my burst of light heal and heal everyone. It's a nice AoE heal. Make sure everybody's topped off so we have a good night's sleep.
And as that happens, it rouses the harmonica playing with a brand new. It's like when really good songs shift into a different key. It's like da 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 da, and it starts really getting into it. And the evening is warm and cheerful, and you start swapping stories, and everyone's back at full health. And as the yawns start coming out, and as people start easing into their rest for the evening, the lamps all throughout the ship are put out. First mate up top takes watch, and you all start easing into your rest for the evening. Your journey continues on. And as the glorious and mighty ship of the Tempest Chaser, helmed by the masterful captain at the helm, you make your way to Tuluma Shah. And Tuluma Shah is the glorious port city of the Hoti Desert. While you're at the dock, the captain bids you the fondest farewell. Captain Tumult gives you all kind of a tearful hug and says, well, this has been the best journey I've had in many a year, and I wish you all the very best of luck in recovering our sister Ari. May only good come to you, and only evil come to those that stand against you. And he gives you all a hug. Your blessed new friend, Softy, has been speaking with the captain, and the captain has offered him a legitimate position to replace the kind of to replace the kind of shady guy. And Softy will now be a happy family member of the Tempest Chaser, potentially to be seen at a future time.
Yay!
As you approach the Hoti Desert from the far east, you approach the Tuluma Shah port. It's a bustling port city that is very active with trade and commerce. It has the vibe of kind of a Moroccan bazaar. And as you're being torn in every direction, you are approached by a very excited local, an elf gentleman, runs directly up to Sacris. And he says, Sacris, I'm so glad that you're here. Have those that were called for help assembled with you? And he introduces you one at a time. And he introduces himself as Seth Notisha. It is my honor to welcome you to Tuluma Shah Port. I have much to tell you. Please join me at my home. We have much to discuss. And as you walk your way through the very busy marketplace.
V is just dragging me along as I'm trying to look at all the things.
Exactly. So all the shiny objects.
He was trying to sell me that. He said he was my friend.
Don't mess with their stuff.
You're just endlessly putting things back on shelves and tipping jars back up where they belong. You approach a lovely, very simple home. It looks something like this. It's a very humble abode. It seems to be very well kept. They take pride in what they make available, but it's not a rich place. And Seth Notisha welcomes you very graciously. He bows very humbly. He says, please make yourself at home. My home is yours. He beckons you to the table here where he sits at the head. And he says, please make yourself at home. Make yourself comfortable. And just at that moment, his little daughter, June, with beautiful big brown eyes, runs up and says, Daddy, look what I just read at the... She almost drops the book in amazement as she sees these mighty heroes enter the room. She's just quivering with her eyes wide as you enter the room.
Can you describe the look of the elf to me, please?
The daughter, June Notisha, she looks remarkably similar to the very young girl that you had in the dream that Sister Ari seemed to be providing some kind of aid to in her time of need. She looks very similar to that. So Armando appears to be very tired and he makes his way to bed. Do you greet anybody on the way to bed or just head straight to bed?
No, he said make yourself at home, so I'm making myself at home.
At home you are, baby.
I leave my muddy boots on and I just jump on that bed.
All right. So Seth Seth smiles at you and says, I completely understand. Please get the rest that you so deeply need. I've been informed of the trials that you experienced on the waters. His wife, the lovely Coria Notisha, walks in and she's got a plate full of food. And she says, please come in. Make yourself comfortable. You must be starving.
Oh, I'm so hungry.
And as Saccharis approaches from the corner, he stands by the door and looks very watchfully out the front door, standing sentinel, trying to protect this home from potential unrest. I have information on how we could possibly track down the location of Sister Ari. It is my understanding that an informant associated with her abduction will be tomorrow at noon engaging in a clandestine business transaction in the Tulumashaw market. It is of urgency that we be there at the moment that this courier comes through so that we can intercept him and possibly find information essential to rescuing our beloved Ari.
Do we know what this courier looks like?
I do have some information. It is scant, but my understanding is that he will be wearing a ring made of sand that seems to shift with the very light of the sun.
He's not one of the traders of those terrible centaur people, is he?
This individual, though I do not know him personally, is the darkest of sorts that is willing to do business dealings with the most vile of evil if it benefits him in his pocketbook.
A good thing we have a tank with us this time.
It is a blessing to have such might among you. Being that it is so late in the day, we have but 9 hours until the sun is highest in the sky. Do you care for any rest or rejuvenation before we begin our difficult task tomorrow's morn?
Do you have any dried meat?
I am very embarrassed to say that the sandstorms of the north have made the harvest incredibly scant, but I can offer you the very best that I can. And he looks over at his beloved Coria and says, dear, do we have anything left? And she says, I will check. And she makes her way up to the kitchen and she is able to return with a plate. It's a very humble plate. It's a wooden plate, piled as high as she possibly can with what looks like some edible meat, but it looks like it's scavenged and not exactly opulent. And she seems kind of embarrassed as she approaches you with her meager offerings.
I'm going to jump in and tap her on the shoulder and say, do you have any sugar leaf cakes? Something very common. The Kalim Shah have been raising these plants all over the place, very, very low cost. And it's one of my favorite treats. If you have any, I would love those.
And at that moment, June says, oh, mommy, can I have some too? and Coria says, oh, well, I'm so glad that you asked, Miss Issa. We do indeed have a fresh batch. As you know, they're not the most expensive things, so we're able to afford those a bit better. And I have a friend at the market that cuts me a really good deal. I'll be right back. So she's so happy that you happen to ask for something she seems to have a bit more of a supply of. And she makes her way back into the bakery area where she's able to whip up the last little bit of a very fresh batch, and she brings those out to you in a much more generous supply. And she seems a bit more proud of this particular offering than the very meager and more expensive meats that she was.
These will give you energy, and they're good for you.
V, would you say your diet consists mostly of protein?
Well, how do you think I cast healing spells?
Oh, okay.
It takes a lot of energy.
So everyone actually notices that Kaz also eats a lot of protein. Like they both just like go straight for any protein, like meat.
Animal is their dead animal. Is their dead animal. I'd like to
that's just like
Yeah.
I left the plants on the any vegetables they had. I just left it there and waited for the meat. And then when the meat came out, I was like, yes.
There we go.
So it seems that Kaz is very focused on one of the two plates, and it is licked very clean. And Papa Seth, Notisha, looks at you and kind of goes, "My man." It's like he happens to also be kind of a meat guy too, and he's like, "Well, I'm glad someone likes real food." And somewhere Sokka smiles. All right, so with that, the wick burner that goes around and lights the lamps in this relatively poor area of the city, you can see that his bells are jingling on his garments to indicate the particular hour is late, and he's lighting the torches out back. And Saccharis eyes the wick burner very suspiciously, wondering if he offers any harm. And this very tiny, very, very frail wick burner kind of backs away, seeing a lux in the middle of the city, this mighty, mighty bird that's guarding the entrance. And he kind of lights the wick and slowly backs away as Saccharis goes. So at this point, June, about 5 years old, starts yawning and she says, Mommy, I can let the pretty elf take my bed if Miss Issa wants the softest bed that we have.
Oh, why don't you come? Do you want to take a nap with me? I'll make room for both of us. How about we have a cuddle and like sleep on the nap for a little bit?
Could you do my hair as pretty as yours?
Maybe when we wake up. I'm a little tired right now.
Okay. I'd love to learn. Mama's hair is very pretty, but yours is wonderful. It's very different.
Well, we'll see what we can do. Come take a nap with me first.
Very good. And she moves her way into the smaller of the 2 bedrooms, and she sits on the bed and wants a little bit of girl time, talking with you before you go to bed.
What would you like to talk about?
She continues to ask you questions for as long as she possibly can before you start yawning. She asks for you to tell her of your grand adventures, and she's wide-eyed even as she starts to exhaust you with questions, and you're charmed by her cuteness. She asks for you to read her favorite bedtime story.
Okay, I will read you your bedtime story, and then we have to take a nap.
Okay. And she kind of stretches and she cuddles up next to you, and you get to read her one of her favorite bedtime stories of a beautiful elf maiden who saves the world. And with that, Saccharis seems to never sleep. Constantly, his eyes are shifting as the minimal traffic out front seems to be bustling by. Coria and Seth continue with a bit more conversation just to help you feel graciously welcomed. And then they do indeed excuse themselves. They offer you their finest accommodations as they choose to sleep in the kitchen here and in the pantry, being that they wanted to make the best space available to you. And Seth reaches over to V. I will tell you that I attempted to train in the priestly arts long ago, and I simply did not have the strength of will to accomplish what you seem to have done. I will warn you that where this journey may take you will require far more than the most mighty of priests could be capable of. Please keep your wits about you. Danger is all that is ahead.
I appreciate the warning.
Mm-hmm. And he takes out of his pocket, roll me a d6V. So he offers you a very simple triangular wooden medallion on a very crude necklace with a tip pointing down. And it's a very humble symbol that looks kind of similar to the necklace that was offered Leo. It's a symbol of the order of priests, considered the missionaries and the holy men of the land, that are revered, but it seems to be slightly secretive in how they operate due to the sensitive nature of the ministry work that they do all around the world.
I would
Kind of like the White Lotus.
So Leo, roll me a d6 real quick.
He's trying to steal from me?
He wants to know if you recognize
I don't know if I recognize
it. Let's see if you notice.
Wait, is he stealing from me? What is he doing?
Supposed to drop the hammer on him.
With your perception.
I wish that were a steal out of 1.
Three with my it's a
Okay.
one.
While Leo's distracted, can I try
Are they
to
hiding
roll
it though?
guile?
So they're at the table. They're not trying to be secretive. So those of you that are at the table are basically where they're talking. You might, out of the corner of your eye, see that a necklace is being transferred to V as a gift, kind of a home warming gift from Seth.
Can I tell that it's the same one?
With your modifier, you're not inebriated enough that you are able to see basically that a symbol of recognition has been provided to V, but you're not able to hear the conversation between V and Seth. You just see the act of something being transferred.
I mean, can I because I received this same one? Can I tell that they're the same one?
They're very similar. They're hand carved, so they're not like factory made hewn. But
it registers.
The symbol is identical.
Okay, got it.
It's a personal gift of blessing between priests, and those of that caste.
While he's doing that, can I roll guile to sneak up on Leo?
You're welcome to roll a d6 plus your modifier.
I get to counter roll perception.
Let's see. So Kaz, you do indeed roll a 3 plus. What's your modifier?
Oh, it's a 0.
Okay, so
I have 0 guile.
Okay, so you're
He's very boisterous.
Kind of, you're super not good at what you're about to do, but you barely are able to do it. So what are you interested in doing?
I just casually look over at the wall over here, and then when I notice him paying attention to V, I reach out. And how far does your prosthetic on your arm go?
It's on my left arm.
Does it go to here, to here?
Oh, it's like
shoulder.
It's like here, just below.
I'm gonna tickle just the little end of your elbow and see if there's a reaction from you. Just
okay.
A little,
Leo, roll me a d6.
All right.
V, this is all your fault. Just saying.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
Okay, so
he's
Leo,
literally physically touching me.
Right. So what happens is, because you rolled very good perception with your d6 there, you can blatantly see him trying to sneak around the table. It's like, dude, I see you. And he sneaks up and starts kind of tickling your elbow.
I'll pretend like I'm not gonna respond for a solid few seconds.
Oh no! If you don't respond, I'll pull away then and be
He'll lick. You gotta watch out.
I'll
He'll
just
lick
assume
everything.
you can't feel out of the arm. Then
I love it.
All right.
He
All right.
touches everything with his tongue if he can.
I'll just
Exactly.
pretend I didn't notice then.
Right. All right, so with that, a charming moment of Kaz experiencing a bit more of the world, Kaz does indeed take place. Seth kind of smiles as he concludes his business with V,
Right.
and he makes his way around to
Seth,
the.
I'll drag V up to the rooftop, and that's where we sleep.
Very good.
Could I speak with you in the kitchen quickly?
Of course, feel free to meet in the kitchen.
I'll whisper to V. I'll be like, he doesn't feel anything.
It's metal.
So he says, "Yes, how can I help you, sir?"
You know this land well, I assume.
I was born and raised here. I know it like my own soul.
Yes, and I'll pull out the symbol that Gino gave me.
Mhm.
Do you recognize this?
I am rather surprised that one of your particular proclivity would have been gifted by such a treasure. May I ask who presented you it?
Yes, it's. Do you know Father Gino of Snooze?
You were gifted a symbol by the founder of the city of Sanubis?
Yes, I suppose I was.
He's in awe, and he kneels before you and says, it truly is an honor to be in your presence.
This is very unnecessary. I don't even know what this means exactly, but either way, it's some kind of an organization, right?
Indeed it is. Much will be revealed to you in time, but the fact that Father Gino himself provided you this gift means he sees more in you than he does in most people, and that is an honor beyond measure.
Right. Well, so you're part of this group then?
I am humbled to be a member of this order. While I will not be able to say much more in present company, the world desperately needs the assistance that we can provide.
Curious, have you heard anything of an organization with no name and no symbol in this land?
I think I know of what you speak. There is a reason that I failed in my early attempts in my priestly training, and I will say that part of that reason was that I did indeed become embroiled in one such organization, of which I am not too proud of what I did, and I continually seek forgiveness that I may never receive.
Yes, I understand that. Do you have any current information on any of their operations in this land?
I intentionally have distanced myself from their operations for the sake of protecting my wife and daughter, but I will say that I'm aware of machinations afoot in the Far East that those of the order are watching very closely, and he leans even closer, making sure that no one else can hear, and he says, it would be wise to not get involved.
I don't have the luxury of that option, unfortunately.
I understand. He places a hand of blessing upon the token in your hand, and he says, may you be blessed by El Shaddai himself, for nothing else will save you.
Ooh, that gave me chills.
I appreciate your help, Seth, and I appreciate your hospitality very much.
And
I'll let you get some rest.
He bows humbly and says, I wish you rest in every way. May your soul receive it as your body.
I'll bow back.
I'm going to scoot over toward the kitchen, and I want to see if I can actually overhear them, because I just have a strange feeling.
Okay. Roll me a d6. Let's see how much of that conversation you heard.
Plus my perception?
Yes, plus your modifier. You heard all of that. You are well aware of Leo and Seth's associations. You heard all of that in rich detail.
Before I left, I would have asked Seth where I should go to sleep.
You may sleep wherever it pleases you most. I would offer you my own bed, but it seems the Titan seems to have claimed it for himself, and there will be buckets of drool for me to clean up in the morning.
So as I walk out, I kind of...
All right, so with that, Seth does excuse himself for the evening, and he curls up with his beloved next to the gently burning hearth.
I will kind of quickly walk out. Can I catch her listening in?
Roll me a d6, Leo. Let's see if you were aware of her presence as well, to see if you know what she knows. You were slightly distracted, but due to your sharp eyes and your ears, you were able to notice that she was likely listening in.
Okay.
You don't know how much she heard, but you get the impression she probably heard enough to be aware of your conversation's contents.
I will kind of like eye her in like if she happens to look at me, she'll know that I'm looking but I'm not going to interact.
Side eye.
Exactly,
Okay.
that side eye. And I'm gonna move up into this like attic room or whatever, and just find kind of a corner or something to.
Perfect. All right, so you're in the attic room, and it looks like V and Cause are up on top of the roof there.
Oh, we're
Maybe
sleeping.
use some sacks and stuff to make a little
Yeah.
makeshift bed. It's not the most uncomfortable situation I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
This is the flattest roof I think I've stayed on with you.
It's nice.
Of the
We've been in
roofs
the
that we've
caverns
stayed
for
on,
so long.
you know?
It's nice to sleep on the roofs.
Of the many roofs that we've tried, this is the flattest. You know?
That's
We
right.
have very
That's
flat
right, my
roofs
boy.
here.
I want to have a chit chat with Sacris.
Sacris is still near the door, very focused on trying to protect the house. He senses danger everywhere.
So, Sacris, what are your thoughts on someone being bold enough to actually steal away Sister Ari? She's done good all over the world. Well, how did this even happen?
His countenance just falls in a deep sorrow that you didn't think that he was capable of, and he says, I fear that I may have failed her myself.
How?
I was originally tasked to be the one that escorted her on her particular mission to the peoples that needed her most in the desert regions. But I was called away by business elsewhere, and one of my younger brothers was sent to accompany her, and it seems that he has failed in his task, and I am ashamed.
Why were no Caleb Shaw escorting? Were they in the Deep Hoti? People know better than this.
My understanding is that a contingent of Caleb Shaw accompanied one of my brothers with her, but alas, all of them seem to have been overrun.
This smacks of a plot.
I fear it is true.
I'm going to just go and sit down and kind of contemplate my thoughts and wait for the day to change so we can leave.
Okay. And Sacris does not sleep this night. He is desperate to protect those in the home with his last breath. So with that, the final lights inside the home dim, and everyone nestles up into their rest, and Sacris continues to guard the home the entirety of the evening. And then the sun rises.
Am I the first to rise since I went to bed?
Yes,
a little
you
bit
do
early?
indeed get to rise first. As you do that, Seth seems to wake up about the time that you do, and he meets you in the dining area here.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Seth and I'm gonna say, I've got the cooking for today. Don't you worry about it.
Aw.
And absolutely everyone in the house is now awake. All right. So
I'm gonna start chopping, and I'm a terrible cook, but I think I'm an amazing cook. Let's just say that.
roll me a
so-
d6. Let's see how good this meal is.
I'm gonna do 2d6. I'm gonna kind of do it as a disadvantage, so take the lowest of the two.
Perfect. Perfect.
So it'd be 3. So it's an
All
average
right.
meal for this case.
All right. So they're not poisoned to death, but it's a little better than spam.
There you go.
And they all kind of
Which-
pretend to like it.
How much meat is
Is
there?
spam meat?
Yeah.
How much meat is there?
No meat was harmed in the making of this meal.
All right.
So
We'll probably look at each other and be like, do you want to go spam in the market?
These
You're-
freaking carnivores. There's nothing wrong with vegetables. Come on. You gotta get
Hey,
used to
vegetables are good, but I gotta heal you people.
it. You grew up in the jungle, you know, and sometimes they don't want you to be killing all the animals.
that's right. At this moment, there's an urgent knock on the door, and Seth sprints to it. Sacris immediately grabs his two weapons at the ready as a shield between Seth and the front door. Seth calms him briefly and says, "Fear not, I know this one." A dwarf walks up and whispers into Seth's ear, and Seth's eyes get wide. It seems that our window of opportunity has shifted. We must move now. At that moment, he drops his food and he drops everything, and he starts putting on his shoes and his cloak. And he says, "Please follow me." And he sprints out the front of the door.
I leave my untouched plate out there.
The vegetables?
Wait, did I even come down?
You were
No,
invited
no,
to come.
Leo's sleeping. So.
You're
I'm
awake,
just
Leo.
sleeping in, bro. I'm just like, I slowly waltz down this. I'm just kind of like,
This is everyone's running up the
Guys,
What's
guys.
the
they're
deal?
kind of like gearing up, and I'm like,
Oh,
You're rubbing your
smelled
eye.
so good we couldn't find
Yeah.
you.
You were in a deep cat nap, and it's like, guys, what's the rush? But everyone's sprinting out the door, and you have
Oz, you forgot your meal.
fast food.
Oh, I'll grab that and throw it in my satchel.
And Mama
or on the ground.
Mama Coria, she like quickly, like with ninja speed, wraps up like 6 meals and slides them into your lunch boxes for the day, and sends the kids off to their grand adventure.
Did
And
she
she
give
gives
us all
y'all
a kiss on the cheek as well?
she gives
Just
y'all
kidding.
2 kisses, one on each cheek, and then she gives you a big old hug as
Is
she
that
reaches
Talem
up.
Shaw culture, or is that just?
This,
She's particularly kindly, in a unique way. She's mama. She takes care of people.
Got it.
All right, so with that, you all sprint as fast as you possibly can, about 2 miles deeply into Talumasha Market. It's a bustling, very noisy, very dusty, very dry. People are yelling to try to get their stuff sold. You were given information that one particular individual in the Talumasha Market is planning on meeting in about 3 to 5 minutes. It is your responsibility to suss out that individual and get the information from them before they're able to escape back into the shadows. Everyone, please roll a d6 to see who gets to explore and inquire who the dark trader is first. 6 is first. Leo, you get to go first.
Before I enter the market, can I smoke bomb and enter stealth mode, kind of?
You may. You
Alright,
are currently stealthed and nobody sees you. You get to walk up and do whatever you want.
Totally
Everybody's
in
busy.
shadows mode. I'm going to. Can I make a perception check to look for this individual?
You may. Roll a d6.
In addition, can the same perception check look for any more wealthy merchants who maybe
Sure.
have a good trinket to grab or something?
Excellent focus for that. Roll a d6 and we'll see what you find out. 4, that's solid enough to recognize that Lothan Furl on the far edge with your very good eyes seems to be busily stocking shelves, seems to be a bit distracted, as if she's constantly looking over her shoulder. She seems a bit suspicious.
Suspicious?
A little, like something's off. She should, yeah, a bit sus.
Sus.
She vented. She vented. Watch out.
Okay.
Emergency
sorry.
meeting.
And you have an opportunity to inquire into
Self-report.
Does this shop look like wealthy? Like it's doing well off?
The goods are the finest, and she looks pretty wealthy, but for some reason, as she's tending to the goods, she seems distracted.
Can I try to snag something?
Roll a d6.
Valuable.
You can use guile here if you want, because it's an out of combat thing.
That will be a 8 total.
All right, you grab whatever you want. What do you grab?
Whatever the most valuable,
Okay,
easy to pocket and hide thing is.
There are jewels, there are trinkets, there's a crown that looks kind of counterfeit, but it's a crown.
Some kind of really nice jewel.
Okay, you grab a
A
jewel,
purple
and
one.
it is a
Those are my
beautiful purple
eyes.
jewel that happens to have a genuine golden clasp all the way around. And the golden clasp has an interesting symbol of a paw mark that seems to be imported from somewhere. And you get to add this to your inventory. And with that, Lothan Furl, you see that she finally has a young child run up, and she looks completely relieved. And whatever she was nervous about seems to have been that her child was a little later and kind of off playing, and the child has returned finally. And Lothan gives a very stern talking to so that she's not so scared to death again. So Lothan seems to be a bit more calm, less suspicious. Coming up next, we have our other 6, which was Armando. You get to inquire. Who do you want to check into?
I will do a perception check to look around and see if I notice anything suspicious.
Great. Roll me a d6. Let's see what you get. You rolled a rock solid 9. It looks like Cliff Bar up on the top north area there. He's swinging his legs and he's eyeing a bit sus, a little sus, as he's eyeing Madame Prose from a distance. And he might be worth investigating.
Okay.
Or, good for you.
Or good for you. Yeah, that's true.
This is a Cliff Bar.
Sponsorship's
Hello
not
there,
available.
sir. How you doing?
And he looks at you like, go away. Mind your own business.
Go away. What are you doing? I see you eyeing little Madame Prose over there.
Can't a man just appreciate the beauty of nature? Just back off. Come on. You're cramping my style.
Should I let Madame Prose know you're eyeing her?
No, please. Okay. I'm trying to get her attention. I kind of like her, but she never gives me the time of day because of old gruff Guile over there and all of his mighty beard manliness, and I just have no way to impress her, damn it.
If we could only find some fake hair somewhere, then maybe we could help you.
Oh. And he looks down and he says, well, I'm willing to pay for a toupee if you can find one.
I think we got you. I think we can handle that. I'm going towards V.
I'm bartering with Biff or Beef
All right.
Biff right now, trying to get some meat.
That's right.
I don't know if you want to do our interaction with V yet, or if you want to have Biff.
Yeah, so to finish this interaction, Armand, you can talk to V possibly to secure the hair.
Okay. Hey V.
Yeah.
I got a man up there that looking at a lady, and he needs a little hair to add some manliness to him.
So you're saying
Still
some
got that-
romance is brewing.
Yeah, some romance is brewing. What do you think? You think you
alright.
could give him a little toupee you had there? I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he'll pay.
How much you think we can get for this?
Probably at least 20 gold.
20
What
gold.
the scraps? It's not even the whole
That's
thing.
good time.
The scraps of a
Okay.
badly
He
He
Sold
only
it.
needs a beard. He only
He
needs a
only
beard.
needs a beard.
Then go
Alright.
to such lengths to
I got you. We'll let me pass this on to you.
All
Okay,
right.
I'm gonna take it.
Perfect.
And then I'll kind of go back up to here. I'll say,
right.
hey, Cliffy.
And he looks at like, what do you think you can do for me? I'm desperate.
Well, I got this right here. And I'll kind of wiggle it around.
Oh,
and I'll say, the only problem is you got to pay 25 gold for it.
Oh, I'd pay 26 if it'll finally give me the beard I've always dreamed of.
26 gold, you got it.
All right, and he tips you 27 gold because he's overjoyed, and he horribly kind of sticks it onto his chin, trying to get the beard thing going.
Wait,
and
can I wander up? Can I wander up on this and and I'll kind of make a whispering comment to Armand.
Okay.
You call me the thief.
Hey!
I keep walking. I don't even give him an option to respond.
And that has earned you an inspiration dice. That was
Thank
perfect.
you.
That was
Thank
perfect. Leo is now blessed with an inspiration. That was so good. Indeed. So the new thief, Armand, gets to walk away with a pile of gold. And Cliff Bar, inspired by his raw masculinity on the bottom of his chin, walks up to Madame Prose and kind of strokes his new beard. And Madame Prose looks at Gruff Guile, who's kind of stinky, but he looks kind of gruff and tough. And he looks over at the now far more suave and debonair with facial hair, Cliff Bar, and she goes, "Oh my, Cliff, there's something different about you, and I've never really noticed how manly you are." And he approaches and says, "Well, little darling, there's a lot more that you have yet to learn about me." And he offers her his elbow, and she kind of fans herself a little bit, and with her lithe hand places it on his elbow, and the two of them frolic off together on their very first date. And Gruff Guile goes, "Oh darn, I wish I had beard like that."
And I'll take 7 gold, and I'll kind of put it on the floor next to his place, since Leo made that comment and kind of looked downward.
Right. So with that, Gruff Guile smiles and takes the charitable kindness that you're making available to him, and he offers you the finest of his bananas. It's like a 6-foot long banana, and it has lots of nutrition in it.
I'm gonna approach Issa while she's doing whatever.
Okay.
So, I wanted to catch you while we were here. Saw you yesterday night. Did you learn anything interesting?
Wise Elf always has ears open to the whispers that are around her. I'm worried, to be honest. The wooden triangles that you speak of, they're given so rarely and with such meaning. I'm surprised that Father Gino gave one to you that must say something about everything that he sees in you or knows about you that maybe we don't know.
What do you know of these wooden trinkets?
I myself was given one when I was very young, and I was saved by Sister Ari from dying. And I stored it away for the longest time, and it was stolen. So I no longer have it. But I know that it was given to me with love and hope and great sentiment.
From Sister Ari?
From Sister Ari.
We have probably more similar stories than we realize.
Which is why I trust you more than Armando does.
That's okay. He has a very simple way of looking at things. The black and white types. I understand them. It's
exactly.
fine. I'm used to it.
So the other thing I'm looking for is some dried llama. And this lady down here, Lady Philen, is renowned for having the best dried llama. I don't know what it is, if it's cinnamon or coriander that she puts in the seasoning, but my uncle used to rave about her. And I'm hoping...
Is that the one with his really long neck or something?
But they do very well in the desert, and their fur is amazing. Their coat is sold for
they have the humps. They have the humps.
No hump.
Oh, no hump.
Flat back.
Anyway. Yes.
Anyway, but
Delicious
they're delicious.
Meat,
yes, absolutely delicious and prolific. So usually a very fair price. I'm hoping to surprise V and Cause before they eat something they're not supposed to.
And it's about time for that to happen. Cause, what are you doing?
I'm coming down here to Miss Fish. What is she doing by the water?
So Phyllis Fish, she's desperately trying to get a single fish into her net. And every time she goes for it, this fish just keeps jumping out and keeps jumping out and keeps jumping out. She's getting frustrated and she looks hungry and it's just miserable.
Can I swap places with her and the fish on land?
You may.
then I do so, but she's now wet probably. But there's a fish on land, and I pick it up for her and go, "Here you go."
Oh, and she looks at you kind of confused, not expecting to be swapped places with a fish, but she was so sweaty and so dirty that finally getting washed and refreshed after the hot day in the sun, she almost looks overjoyed as you offer her this big juicy fish, and she says, "Oh, thank you, my child." Kind of offers the empty net to you as you effortlessly Kobe it right in. She now has a big juicy fish, and she kisses you on the forehead and says, "Oh, my children can eat tonight thanks to you."
No problem. I look for more fish. I'm like, wait, hold still. Put that fish down for a minute.
All right. What are you going to try to do?
I want to try to swap her with another fish to catch more.
You see a big honking fish. This is like a 15-footer out there. And you want to see if you can swap it?
Yeah.
All right. You roll me a d6. Let's see how successful you are.
Have to swim back, though.
Exactly.
Oh my
exactly.
goodness. Oh my
All right.
He's not going to be eaten by the fish, right?
I'm
Okay.
going to use my reroll.
All right. So here we go. This is the moment.
I'm using my reroll
The
for fish.
inspiration die.
So Kaz is using his inspiration dice. Let's see what he does. All right, that's better.
That is
Slightly more
That's
inspired.
better. So I will say, with that, you were able to swap her with like a third of this fish, and it's perfectly pre-sliced right down the middle. So like the meat just drops on the sand, and she's swimming in the outside, going like, "Yay!" She swims all the way back, and she says, "I can eat for a month now."
Have you seen anything weird going on in the market lately?
Oh well, other than me being swapped places with a fish, I don't know. Dredge Grink over there seems to be a bit more nervous than normal. He's been a little strange. You might want to go take a look at him.
Does Dredge like fish?
He likes punching fish, and it's a really strange thing that he does. But
Can I take the fish that she had before and leave her with a giant chunk of meat?
and she says, "Oh, with the meat that you've already pre-sliced and diced for me, I'll eat for a month. You can have that all you want."
Okay, this is for Dredge to punch, I say, as I start heading over that way. I'll call out, I'll go, "V, I found some meat."
Okay. And it is now V's turn. What do you do, V?
Oh, I'm in the market looking for some food.
Okay.
Just because I know we spent a lot on our last encounter,
Right.
and I'm also looking for any clues to any other molten reavers that are on the surface world.
So you approach Dornis Shill. He seems a bit intimidated as you walk up. You look very imposing with your mask and with your armor. Doesn't want to make eye contact with you, and he says, "Oh, you're one of them damn reavers."
And I ask him if he's seen any recently.
Except for the bastard in front of me. No, get out of my shop.
Wow. So I bring him what I'm trying to purchase, some goods, and ask him how much it costs.
We don't serve reavers here. I know what your people did up in the northeast there. And I had some elf friends up there that could never recover thanks to your people.
Interesting. I press him on that, asking him more information to hear more about this.
Okay. Are you going to intimidate? Are you going to charm? How do you want to do it?
Oh, let me intimidate. It's like I got a mask on.
Yeah, you're Darth Vadering it up. All right.
Yeah,
What is your intimidation modifier?
3.
Okay, 3 + 3. Okay, he's super intimidating. He says, damn, don't hurt me. Okay, well, you know what? I'm willing to answer a question that you have, but I don't have much time. It's a busy day.
When was the last time you've seen a molten reaver in the markets?
Oh, it's been 6 months probably. You're kind of don't exactly make it this far very often without very specific cause. By the way, where are you here, boy?
I've heard rumors of other reavers wandering the surface, gathering under a new name.
Well, it seems you may know a bit more than I do about that, but if you're interested in seeing a bit more of your kind going rogue, then I got to tell you that you're probably going to have to head deeper into the desert to see anything that weird.
It's good information.
And he says, well, I'd appreciate it if you could leave me in my shop alone. Do you want to buy anything, or are we done here?
Yes. How much for the rest of this? I just hand him a bag of meat and vegetables. I turned 20 coin, or half.
And you're still intimidating him?
Yeah.
With that previous roll? Okay, he says, you know what, just get out of my shop and you can have it for free, but don't tell anyone I gave you this deal.
I just walk out.
His pride is very deeply damaged. He was not expecting to be terrified of a priest. With your mask and your imposing nature, he kind of busies himself with work, but he's still kind of shaking due to the interaction.
I'll go
V-
find Cause. He's wandering off.
You could easily see, I assume, as soon as you walk out of there, see the girl like with a giant chunk of a half fish, and you see like probably 2 halves of the fish floating.
Floating away.
I know. I recognize that damage anywhere.
It's like, oh God, Kaz has been here, hasn't he? All right, so V, if you want to make yourself over to where Kaz is, you're welcome to. Kaz, it seems that you see Dredge Grink, and he looks very bad-tempered.
Hello.
He's trying to build a fire and failing horribly at it.
I go, oh, would you like me to start that for you?
It's like, no, get away. I got company coming.
But I brought fish.
What kind of fish?
I show him the big fish I got.
Okay, and he says, oh, give me that fish.
I gave it to him.
Okay, and he looks at it. He looks at you. The fish is already very dead. He's like, and he punches the fish. And the fish is now perfectly ripe and ready for cooking. And with his mighty, beefy orc arm, he just sticks it over the edge of the fire. And it does not seem to affect his skin too much. He's got some very thick skin. And he starts cooking the fish right in front of me. He's like, be gone. I got a meeting coming up.
But we're going to have fish. I look at him and say,
I'm going to have fish. Get out of my sight, boy.
We're going to have fish. That's my fish.
Leave now or you're going to regret it.
At this point, I'm going to kind of like walk up like in a supporting fashion and kind of, this dear boy's fish, sir. I think you could be a little kinder to him.
Okay, and his eyes widen a little bit as he starts
Just
saying
standing in the back, being intimidating.
Yeah.
As you walk up, like
yeah, his eyes widen as he looks at the blades dangling near the edge of your waist, and he looks at V kind of tightening his fist on the hammer, and he's like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't mean any trouble, and he starts backing up and he starts trying to run away and escape.
Starts trying to run away.
I am right behind him.
Oh, and as he backs up,
Oh,
he bumps into the mighty Titan's chest. Ugh! And this orc is a solid 6 foot, tall dude, but nowhere near as tall as Armando. And he kind of smacks up against your chest and looks up like, oh.
Is there a problem here, sir?
Did he drop the fish?
Roll me a d6. Let's see if he drops the fish.
No, please don't drop the fish.
It's a fresh, tasty, perfectly cooked fish. Let's see what happens to it. Oh, he does drop the fish, and you can catch it if you want.
I catch it and then quickly hold it over the fire.
All right.
Oh no!
You're gonna burn yourself.
It is perfectly crispy, and your hand is starting to get a little hot.
V, fix him.
I'm gonna grab his
He
arm.
bounces
pull it
back.
away.
It's fine.
All right.
I'm gonna grab his arm and try to just pull it out.
Youth.
All right. So with that, Dredge Grink is swirling with emotion. He's terrified of Armando. He lost his fish that he just perfectly punched and was ready to cook and eat. And he just wants to get out of here. She's like, I don't want any trouble. I got things to do. Y'all take care. And he tries to start to leave.
Dredge, I have an idea. I think if you were wise, you would sit down and you would talk to Armando and myself and Kaz and Leo. Tell us what you have going on. There's something afoot here.
And he desperately tries to sprint away.
I will reach out and grab him.
Everyone roll me a d6. Let's see who gets to him first. 2, 1, 3, 2, 4. Kaz.
I'll stand in front of him and go, if you wait, you'll get some fish. I offer him part of the fish. And they won't beat you, I say.
And he looks really nervous, kind of checks around, and he's wondering if he should fear you guys more or whatever would happen to him if he stays more.
I cut a part of the fish out and go to hand him the rest of it.
Damn it. And he reaches out and he grabs the fish and he starts gnawing on it while he's super nervous looking around. Like he's expecting a meeting.
What's the story?
Okay,
he's so worried about that.
He says, well, I heard word that there's something extremely valuable out in the desert, and well, I've been paid really good coin to help transport something of value that frankly I'm not supposed to say anything about.
By who?
Let's just say that there are forces at work that no one should know about. You better not tell anybody about this, but all I can say is that the Obelisk of the Lost is a place that you don't want to be right now. At that moment, Sacris kind of flies across the way here, and he lands very gracefully behind Dredge. And by gracefully, I mean the landing is smooth, but holy crap, when he hits the ground, it is full Iron Man. Boom! And he moves up behind Dredge, completely locking him in, and he says,
"Oh, the sand, no!"
Yeah.
It's in my fish.
Right. And it immediately puts out the fire. Sacris glares down at Dredge, and he says, "Talk." And Sacris is playing no games, and Dredge spills all his guts. I don't know that much. I don't know that much. All I know is that the Obelisk of the Lost, something is happening there, and I don't want to be involved, but the money's good. That's all I know. I swear.
What were you transporting?
I don't know. It was supposed to be something that I was going to transport out east. I don't have much information. I'm just a courier.
Where's the thing you're transporting?
I was supposed to pick it up at the Obelisk of the Lost.
Can I get a read on him, John, if he's telling
You may.
truth?
Roll me a d6 for perception, plus your modifier.
+3. Ah, 4.
Okay. The fish looks delicious and the fire is out.
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
I'm going
Okay.
to try the same. I want to perceive him and not just find if I want to find out if he's genuinely terrified or if he's
Right.
playing us.
Okay. Roll me a perception d6, plus your modifier.
Leo, you're probably distracted about the amount of sand
Of
that's
sand,
still
yeah,
on the
I know,
it's still
man.
on the fish and I'm
Like,
eating it. Like I went to wipe
It's
it
on your
off, but I
fur.
didn't wipe
Alright,
it off that much.
Oh, you're just eating it. No.
Exactly.
Can't
I'm
do
like,
that.
With Issa's excellent roll, you were able to determine that he is 100% legit. He's freaking terrified of you guys. He's terrified of whatever's coming if he's not there for the meeting, but the immediate threat is you guys. So he's dishing all his guts as honestly as he can to get you away from him. He's terrified of you.
I'm going to look Sacris right in the face, and then I'm going to look at Armando and say, we should pick up what he's supposed to be doing and go to the obelisk.
Mhm.
This could be Sister Ari.
And he says, I agree. We must move.
And I'll
How
beat my chest.
how
Say I'm
much
ready.
how much
Okay.
is a boat ride?
So
Yes,
safe
ma'am.
passage to get him away from danger?
Yeah, to get him
Okay.
away from danger because he gave
Yeah.
us
Wanna bribe
information.
him.
So-
Exactly. He did help you with
Basically, I'm like,
information.
hey,
Charm him.
get out of here! Don't die!
Right,
Get on
so
the
what-
boat.
You want to roll a charm roll?
Yeah,
what
I'll
we should
roll a
do?
charm roll.
Okay, so if we're looking at the world map, Tulumashaw is fairly safe generally, but the markets of Thalassa are ironclad. It's a pretty safe port. He could make it to the markets of Thalassa for about 150 gold on the average transport.
I'd donate to that.
I will donate to that.
All right.
I
so if you
give
should-
him 50. That's all I have.
No,
All right.
not 50.
Yeah, if all of you throw 25 gold in together,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
Kaz is 50, go ahead and mark it on your character sheets.
Sounds
Minus
great.
25 gold. Y'all started with 100
Wait, did I get my money from Leo?
to be determined with him.
What happened?
Ooh, my hair
So-
money.
So with that, you very generously offer the money that this unscrupulous businessman would need to get safe passage to the markets of Thalassa. His tension is remarkably relieved in that he now has an escape. Instead of the likely death or something horrible that would happen to him if he weren't there to pick it up, he should be able to make his way to Thalassa. His affect is completely changed. Thank you, thank you. It seems we have a new business deal and I'm out of here.
Of course, Dredge. One more question though.
Mhm.
What did these people you interacted with look like?
The only interaction I've had so far is a secret message that seemed to be made of sand.
Made of sand.
And it disappeared in my hands shortly after I received it. I was told to depart from here and to make my way out into the Obelisk of the Lost to pick up the package, and I must be leaving shortly.
Where did you receive that message?
It was delivered by a courier that disappeared into the very sands beneath my feet.
Damn couriers.
What did they look like?
It was a being without a face. It looked as if the wind itself gained a form and then left shortly after the message was delivered. If I'm not there on time, they truly will come after me. Thank you for your kindness, but I must be on the last ship out of town or my life may be in jeopardy.
Of course.
He kind of slinks away from Armand and Sacris, and he kind of glances over at Kaz and V. And so he nibbles on the fish and says, thanks, kid. And he sprints all the way out to the next ship, and he's off likely to the port of safety far over to the east. So with that, Sacris says, we must move. Time is of the essence.
As everyone else kind of goes away, I'm going to call V to have a little discussion with him.
Okay.
Hey, V, I've got your 15 gold here. Kind of handed it to him.
Thank you.
You're
How
welcome.
did the romance go?
It went good. Cliff and Madame Prose, they're with each other, so
Thank the maker.
And they wrote poetry and ate Cliff Bars happily ever after.
We made
and as
Leads
V
me something
turns
good today.
away to my little ribbon that I have, it's all blue, but it turns a little bit more black going across it. And that's the ribbon that has a bunch of text on it with my oaths too.
Oh, excellent. And your oaths continue to grow in their richness. Beautiful. All right, you look around, you see horses and camels that seem to belong to your previous friend, Dredge Grenk, and they seem to be without an owner, so they are available to you if you wish them.
Sounds like they're ours.
Will Armando be able to sit on one of these?
You notice a particularly large pachyderm that's kind of a mixture of a rhino and like an elephant. It's pretty beefy. It weighs about 3 tons, and it should be able to carry armor.
And it can take Sacris and.
Oh,
Sacris can fly.
Sacris
he just fly.
doesn't
That's-
ride
oh,
mounts
that's
with other
true.
people.
That's true.
So Sacris eyes the animals and he sees this exotic camel that has 2 heads and he says, I'll take that one. My wings can only take me so far in these desert winds. So at that point, all of you mount up and you begin your quest. We'll take a look at the map here. in the Hoti Desert. You begin the path to the east from the Tuluma Shah port, and you make your way about halfway. You're about a day's journey into the desert. A mighty sandstorm starts raging from the far east where you come from, and it is a violent, violent sandstorm chasing after you in an eerie way. You continue your trip on your camels. You settle in for the night, you eat, you refresh yourself, and it seems like every inch you take, that sandstorm is just moving closer and closer and tighter and almost chasing you or crushing you in. Camels start moving faster. The sun starts rising in the next morning. You barely make it. In the distance, you see this mighty pillar bursting forth up out of the desert sands, and it's glimmering in the sunlight. It's wrapped in rings of gold, but it seems to have an aura of heaviness and darkness that is eerie. As you approach in your camels and in your beast, you kind of start combing your way through the ruins of this temple, and there's dried husks of what you think used to be probably soldiers and creatures that had a mighty battle here. And you see ancient carvings in the walls. The sun is just bleaching your skin. It's so hot. The sand is swirling all around you. And you look to the east where you came from. You look to the north. The sands are just encroaching upon you. It's just oppressive. It's a wall almost of solid air enveloping you fully. And as you work your way through these ruins that you're seeing, I'd like for everyone to roll a d6. The sand is indeed rough and coarse, and it gets everywhere. And your kin notice as well.
It's all the way in my fur grains. It's never going to come out.
I'm so ticked off that I'm molting. All right, so it looks like that V.
Vader.
Yeah, exactly. V does indeed, with your sharp eyes, V, you notice almost a wholly covering that visually was blocking just the average passerby. You're able to perceive a light-based concealment that is intended to hide this from people's view as you walk your way through the ruins. And you are able to dispel that. You can describe how you do that.
So I lift up my hammer, and with a slight prayer, I slam it on the ground, and it illuminates the area around us.
You shall pass.
You're walking right through.
That's right. So with that, this opening that was completely invisible to you guys, it just looked like an area of the normal wall with these ancient runes all over it. Suddenly this opening with stairs leading down into darkness appears, and you all indeed file down into it. What is revealed is a chamber that looks like this. And all 6 of you are approaching from the east here, from the right side. It seems to be devoid of all creatures. It seems to be devoid of life. There are some vines that are kind of shifting in the sands, and the sands are kind of licking at the edges of this room. As you walk in, I'd like for everyone to roll a d6. 3, 6. Okay, V, you're on a roll, man. Your spiritual perception is up there. You truly are attuned. So Sakris says, as he walks in, his eyes are just darting back and forth, and he says, "This is a cursed place." And right as he says that, the door slams behind him, and it is a mighty stone door that falls from the top. And at that exact moment, the entire building starts to fill up with sand from these black parapets. It's moving very swiftly up your shin, up to your knee. I'd like for everyone to roll a d6 to see who gets to perceive things about the room first. So Armando, you have a chance to look around the room first and to interact with the room as you wish. The sand is up to your hips.
Can I do a perception check?
If it's up to his hips, would that mean Kaz is buried in sand?
That's basically so.
I'm climbing. I'm trying to climb out right now.
All right, so Armando,
he's on my shoulders. I'll pull him up and sit on my shoulders.
Armando, you notice a book at the very edge that seems to be glowing in an eerie way, and that book may be of interest to you.
Okay. Is there anything else I noticed in the room?
The pillars seem to be crumbling as you pass by them. There are some statues that don't seem to be animated or interesting. They're the kind of ancient kings and symbols of the region.
Are they different statues, different kings?
They are kings that would be recognizable to people. It would be like Abraham Lincoln. It'd be like George Washington.
Okay, so different ones.
Yeah, so different kings, different leaders that likely would have associated with as leadership of the obelisk. George Mummington, that's right.
And then there's these two empty things. Are these pillars kind of in the center of the room, or what are those?
Yes, they're relatively unremarkable stone pillars that are barely holding the room up.
Okay, I'm going to go over towards the book since it's the only thing of interest that I see, and I'm going to kind of look at it.
Right. Inside the book, you see some arcane runes that keep shifting in language. Eventually, it shifts to a language that you recognize, but it's constantly rotating through all the languages of the lands, ancient tongues that you've never seen, and then something a bit more common. And you read just before it flashes to a different language, "The more you take, the more you leave behind. What am I?"
The more you take, the more you leave behind.
That's right. And the sand is now moving up to your chest.
We're drowning over here.
Yeah.
I will say Time. I think time is a potential.
You say the word time, and one of the pillars falls, and the roof starts caving in.
Okay. Hey guys, I need some help.
So next up,
I want to actually investigate this little door area up here.
Sure.
It looks like a trap door.
Yes, so that trap door, as you peer down into it, it's very full of sand at this point. So the sand is up to your chest level, and it's rising. And what you saw as a trap door is basically inaccessible now.
Okay, I'm going to go over to the book, and since I know different languages from other people and I'm a little older than them, I'm going to kind of re-perceive the book.
Okay.
Can I do a perception check?
You're welcome to. Yep, standard D6 with your modifier. Okay, that's excellent. So you are indeed able to confirm that, being that you know more languages, it seems that the same sentence or the same sentiment, though the transmutations of language are a bit different culturally, the message is similar. The more you take, the more you leave behind. What am I? And it's taunting you with its mystery.
Life.
The book starts to quiver a little bit. A pillar drops, and the sand starts flowing in faster.
Is there any way to find like a hint?
Because you rolled such good perception, you're noticing that there seems to be almost a ghostly imprint that continually is pressing into the sand in kind of a rhythmic way, moving in a big circle. You don't sense there's an actual being there, but it's like the sand is dipping a bit in very specific places in a circle around the room.
I'll just come up and join them and perceive what's going on. And
okay.
What's happening? Like, why are these pillars crashing?
Okay.
Can you not read the book?
What do I know? So many languages. You read all these languages.
Okay.
It's the more you take, the more you leave behind. What am I?
What are you talking about?
That's the riddle. We need to solve it.
Why are you giving me riddles? This is not the time.
Okay. Well, you can read the book on your own time, I guess, next time.
All right. So Leo, as you say all of those words, it seems that each syllable that you utter continues to crack some of the pillars nearby.
No, shut up.
Do I notice that? Do I notice that?
You do not. You rolled a 1. So you don't notice that your words are actively breaking the place.
Plus a 3? It's like...
Okay, one pillar looks slightly better than the rest. Cause, you're next.
I will hop up on that desk or something.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to roll a D6?
You can roll a D6 for basic perception to see if you can see anything more than they do.
It's a 6.
You seem to be decently learned in a few languages, and you're able to perceive that indeed this book is cycling through a wide variety of languages, several of which you're able to read even beyond what the other ones are. And with your perception, you are able to get the impression that this mystery is pressing into your consciousness. The more you take, the more you leave behind. What am I?
I will go with the footsteps.
In a single moment, you hear a grinding sound. And the pillars that were breaking down into multiple pieces rewind time and essentially reassemble in a perfect order. And the sand that was flooding into the room starts.
I just laugh as it goes up. I'm like, this feels cool.
It's raining manna. Hallelujah, it's raining manna. So all the sand starts like going against gravity, sucking back into place. And you were like basically swimming underneath this stuff because you were doing the backstroke up to the book because you were within about a foot of the top of the roof here, height wise, of the sand going up. And indeed, it looks like that the room returns back to normal and the pillars restore exactly to the way that they were, like terrifyingly similar. In a singular moment, the trap door on the front right of the room disintegrates in an explosion of light, and you see a kind of darkness emanating from the trap door. And there is a way open, but the door behind you is still very tightly sealed.
Ooh, a door.
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right.
Onward, heroes.
So, everyone, you make it into the trap door.
And through the trap door we go.
By the way, so V and Sacris in the back, you look at each other and like, you knew it was footsteps the whole time, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's like
Yes.
light 5.
Can I take the book?
Roll me a d6. Let's see if it's movable.
It's not edible.
I'm gonna get over there and I'm gonna like get my
So
dagger
charm?
underneath, like.
Okay,
try
let's
to,
see if you can charm this ancient tome off of its dais.
Well, that's my
Charm.
persuasion. Like I don't have
Okay, that works.
persuasion as charm.
Yeah, sure.
So I have a 9 then because I put 5.
Holy crap. So this book jumps with joy into your hands because you solved the riddle, and it is now your tome, and you now have a book that can shift into any language that can be used for perfect translation whenever you wish. And it is called the tome of
Wonderful.
it is called the Tome of Language. It is now yours.
Excellent item. This is great.
And another cool thing about this, it has no weight, and it is summoned with light. So you can basically call this whenever you want. It is a floating, translucent book. And Sacris, with a singular, graceful flutter of his wings, lands perfectly behind you. He kind of checks the doors to make sure nothing's coming up behind you. All of you go into the trapdoor, and you are exposed to, as you enter,